Okay. So yeah. So we got Sandra Murray. How you doing? It was good meeting you today. In Blackpool. Had a good day. So yeah, it'd be good to do a meet up again sometime. I really enjoyed it. Actually getting to meet people, it's really good. I was really looking forward to it, and it turned out great. It's a great day as well. It was hot. It wasn't too hot, but we got a nice view, and just actually got to meet each other. And also we managed to we saw some things that we shouldn't have been able to see on a globe. So you could see them with the naked eye. So anyone that says that the eye is not good enough to discern what shape the Earth is or whatever, then you need to seek help. You need to seek help if you think that your eyes aren't, trustworthy, because you rely on them all the time. You rely on your eyes, you rely on your eyesight to, do things every day. Otherwise, you'd get killed. Alright, it must be copacetic. How are you guys doing? I must be. Jamie just started listening to Richard Hall, latest vid, Fabricated Terror Attack Part 3. Not sure about that. But yeah, so yeah, if anyone lives near Blackburn, then we could try and have a meet up around there. I'll probably mention that as a few more people join, because in case somebody hears it and they want to, it turns out there's quite a few people not too far away, within 20-30 mile radius. So it's really growing, this thing. It's growing quicker than we probably realize it is, and soon it will be just crazy. Like it'll be just like growing so exponentially fast that we can't keep up with everything. Yeah, it's certainly growing. So anyway, well, Dell's doing his thing right now, and I'm probably bring some people over when he's finished. So yeah, basically, I was on on Twitter, I've been sharing links and stuff on there. So I showed me a Hangout URL link, not obviously the join link thing. But I was just thinking I was trying to promote this Hangout thing to more people over on Twitter. So it was probably some global even. I said I'll be talking about flat Earth. So yeah, they probably replied to somebody, and then kind of with the link, and then there was some globe believer, and then responded to me and said Einstein was right about the infinite stupidity. So then I replied back by saying, you're right, you're the perfect example of that. Owned, actually just owned that person. I mean, I don't want to insult people, but when they say stuff, it's quite funny just to kind of fire back and just they can shoot at you and whatever, and then you can reverse the bullet right back at them. So it's just kind of funny. Pash Music, how you doing? Buggy Metalhead, how you doing, Cameron? Richard Martin, how you doing? Einstein was a Freemason. Most likely there seems to be this whole symbology stuff going on, all this occult, stuff, which is very, well, I mean, it's not, I think people shouldn't be scared of it necessarily. I mean, they should just, I think they want you to be scared of it. All occult is hidden, that's all it is. It's just not the sort of mainstream. Pash Music, all planets all around. We are a Mandelbrot set. What the hell? Well, you can look up in the sky and see that planets are round, but does it mean that they're spherical? I mean, you can never really tell that something's spherical unless you've actually been all the way around it and seen, all sides of it. I mean, all, they don't have sides. I mean, as in all the way around it, and seeing the sphericity of it. Otherwise, you cannot prove that it's spherical. Yeah, you can say, well, it's got a curved shadow or whatever. It's like it's it's some kind of spherical object. But I don't know. I can understand how people might think it's spherical because it's like they've been brainwashed, into believing that. Because they see it on the TV, they see CGI images that really really cannot be proven empirically. When people are showing the dark side of the moon, like we can't actually go there and actually verify this, to be real. Because no one really knows that some satellite taking a picture a million miles away. I mean, are we to really believe that's actually happening? Why do you think he is always depicts his sticking his tongue out? Well, I mean, that's one of the symbols apparently they use, like that. It's like it's seen as rude. It's seen as, like, yeah, and they like to just do that sort of stuff, Richard Martin, yeah, that's right. Occult just means secret, as in hidden knowledge, but it is a sin. Like questions over this whole, sin, go to hell thing, for eternity or whatever. I just don't understand why, it doesn't make any sense to me. This whole idea of going to hell for eternity. It's just, if there is a God, and I haven't even established that to be even, a thing, I mean, I am aware that, that we're not an accident, that we're, some kind of creation, perhaps, maybe, but, even if you say that, let's say that God, is this, this being, he created people and, free will and all that, and, threatening people that, if they sin, they go to hell for eternity. What sort of guy would do that? And I think that's all bullshit. It's all just another mind control mechanism, to keep people in a state of fear, in a state of, disempowerment, perhaps, because they feel like that they have to fear something higher than them, that they have to, and I feel like that's really wrong doing that, and anyone that pushes that is just, they're scum as far as I'm concerned. Ecstasy is consciousness, that's all we are. The way I see it is that consciousness is the center of everything. Without it, reality would not exist. So people can say the Big Bang happened, but if there were no consciousness around when the Big Bang happened and no one actually saw it, then how can you say it actually happened? Because you can theoretically say, well, it had to happen logically, but things only happen because consciousness is there to, witness it. It doesn't happen without the consciousness, because the only way it can happen is if it has a mind of its own. So unless some might believe that God, created the Big Bang and kind of splintered himself, and maybe that's a theory that some of the creationists have, that maybe he did, cause the Big Bang and then, he splintered himself. But still there's problems with that, because that brings the idea of evolution, and, I mean, it doesn't necessarily, but it just kind of, what kind of God would create just a random chaos? This doesn't make sense to me. You should talk to religious people and say, well, it's create something with foundations, not something that's just, hanging on nothing, that's just floating about, whizzing and spinning, and, it's just a freaking joke. Anyone actually believes it, with, even, people, when people believe it and they haven't researched all the evidence that, goes against it, then if they've researched that, then they still believe in the globe, then there's really not much we can do for them, unfortunately. Chris says, how are you doing? I'm really sorry about that you got banned, so I had to kind of go and unban you, but yeah, don't know why you got banned, but maybe somebody was abusing the wrench. I don't know. Political hillbilly, how are you doing? Not random chaos, there's not a grain of sand out of place. Everything is consciousness, it can imitate and create anything and everything. Well, I believe, maybe consciousness is really that, maybe God, created, in the beginning, maybe God created, man or whatever, so it could experience itself in different ways, in different forms. But different people have different ideas as to what God actually is. So we've not even established what God is, because people have different theories on that. It's like, because I was saying the other day, maybe what if we're inside like a bigger being, like we're inside the belly of it or something, and and we're just like microorganisms inside of it. I mean, it's really something that we can't, because when you get in the micro levels, you just can't really see what's going on particularly exactly, because obviously the instruments are probably not the best at seeing exactly what's going on, but it could be anything going on. Because they say there's like a universe going on inside your body, which is quite interesting, because a lot of people just take it for granted how their bodies work, and they probably just think it's some magic thing that but it's a mechanism. But is it really, is consciousness really created by the brain, or is that we are inside a meat sack? Our consciousness is what's the driving force of this reality. It's our intentions, our because we make a conscious decision to do something, and then it happens. Of course, we can make whatever we want a reality if we put enough intention behind it and enough focus, you can, do anything really. I know that sounds a bit cliche, but you really can. And some people maybe not being so honest when they say that, but we've got to realize that we have a lot more potential than they want us to think that we have, because they want us to think that we're just a random speck of dust in the cosmos. And even those who believe in God but still believe in the spinning ball, they're brainwashed in a different way, because they think that God would, be random and chaotic, and that, and it seems to be, if there is a creator, it's, cutting your connection off from the creator. Maybe the creator is within us all, and maybe that's what they're hiding. Maybe they're hiding us from us, the divine spark within us. And as we all come together, maybe then we'll be able to experience God, because of, the source of it, if you want to call it that. Like you'll be able to sort of tap into each other's consciousness, and maybe that's what it's all about. But yeah, how you doing, Nathan Oakley? Be saved by faith in Him who loves you. Well, who knows if there even is someone there that's, I don't know. There's this theory that maybe this is an experiment, and it's not my theory, but maybe we're an experiment, and and when in an experiment, obviously you got to leave it to do its thing. You can't intervene in any way. You just got to let it go, and do its thing. But I don't really like that idea, and it doesn't resonate with me at all, because it seems like that it would have much more of a meaning than just being somebody's experiment, But anyway, so how are you guys doing then? Oh my God, you never guess who's in Dell's chat. Eric D. Pollard. When I made that joke, and someone's using that sock account. Oh my God, that was freaking hilarious. Anyway, it's a story. Love always wins. Possible, yeah. Seems like we're being sort of plugged into a reality, not maybe literally, but like kind of, maybe spiritually, we're kind of plugged into this reality, and that's how we got here. But this is just all speculation and not really provable, because we're limited to the information. They're probably hiding stuff from us. We don't. The Vatican's probably hiding a lot of this stuff. Like the true map, the true history. Trying to steal it away from us, and they hoard it, and they probably have huge galleries of stuff that they're keeping from us, because it benefits them. Us not knowing. And it wouldn't be good for them if we did find out. So anyway, yeah. Chris says, nice to hear you talk your mind, Jamie, rather than some of the other talking heads that's been on lately. Well, I open it up to other people to have their say as well. I know some people can be a bit controversial. But yeah, put the Twitter icon link in the YouTube profile page. Might do that actually, if I get around to it. Anyway, so yeah, if anyone wants to join me, let me know, and I can sort your link out. If not, whatever. Anyway, I've hit 50,000 upload views. So I must have released at least a few thousand people doing this stuff, over the few months, to like almost a year doing this. So yeah, it's good to see it's growing this much, especially over the last few weeks or so. It's gone from it was on I've almost got to like 200 subscribers in the last 2 weeks. PC, how are you doing? Anyway, so let's see what I'm going to do. I'm going to hang on. So yeah, what else can I talk about? So there's lots of topics that you can talk about. Flat Earth effect, how are you doing? Yeah, it was good in Blackpool. Make sure to like and make sure to share if you haven't already. Let people know I've gone live right now. Try and get some people over. I couldn't quite see Isle of Man, I don't think. I think apparently maybe you could do it with the P900, but I don't even think you could get it in with the binoculars, because we had somebody brought binoculars, but I couldn't get it in with them. But you could see North Wales, and you could see the Lake District, and you could also see an oil rig, which apparently was about 19 miles away. You could see Barrow and Furness at about 23 miles away. Which, you can see, it's not quite that far away, but you can see up to sort of Grange over Sands, which is about 23 miles away. Apparently, on good days, you can see Isle of Man. So, what are a few things that we got to see? It was good to see it with the naked eye. I don't think you really need to zoom in on stuff to like prove it's flat, but it does kind of help if you're talking about long distances over 80 or 100 miles. But it's really rare in this country you get to see views bigger than that, really. So. Because you do have to go high up somewhere to see quite far. They'll be like, oh, that's because of the curvature. Well, there's atmospheric conditions and there's perspective issues. So people don't take these things into account. Anyway, ranty rant. Yeah, I got a bit sunburnt here as well. You can see it's more on one side than it is the other. So I only done any on one side. Face got a bit, I think, and then my neck got it as well. Back of my neck quite a bit as well. Because it kind of really, it's like, when you're out in it and then it's like, oh, I didn't get so much sunburn. But then when you get home later and it's like, you start to feel it a little bit. You start to feel it a bit, and it's, apparently that's coming from 93 million miles away. What an absolute joke. How come the sun and moon just happen to look the same size? Is that a mere coincidence? Is that just happened by chance that they're both the same size? I don't see it that way. Beyond the coincidence, that is. Anyone that believes it's just a coincidence, then they need to kind of, they probably need some help. No offense, but they just do. Alright, okay, so the chemtrails were pretty bad, weren't they? Well, they weren't the worst, but at least it didn't ruin the views and stuff. Some of the observations we did, I mean, kind of just clarifies it to me. There's not really anything that can really bring me back to the ball. It's a long debunked. It's just. I'm not even going to get into debates with people. I mean, Jen Panda's saying, "Oh, you won't debate me. You must be scared," or something like. I mean, he wasn't saying that. He just said, "No." He was asking me to debate him, and then I just didn't reply right because I don't even want to give them attention, to be honest. But I'm giving them attention now. I mean, I'm just saying I just don't think if you admit that it's a debate, then you admit that there's that you might be wrong. So I mean, and there's because he knows he's not going to change, so that. I know I'm not going to change because the evidence that's been presented so far is just overwhelming for the flat Earth. There's just no going back from seeing all that. All right, so there we go. So I'm trying to just share this out on some different pages on Twitter. Somebody might retweet my retweet. Anyway, anyone seen the moon tonight? It's really bright and huge. No, I saw it last night, I think. Apparently the harvest moon's coming up here. Or is it the 7th of September or something? Where is it, 6th of September? I can't remember, but that's supposed to be coming up in September. Of course, the eclipse is supposed to be coming up on the 21st of August, which, I just hope it'll prove something, one way or another. I don't care if it turns out to be a globe, it's a globe, but it's, obviously it's an experience that's, changed a lot of people, and I don't see it as being a psyop because it's really made people's minds opened. It's made them realize there's conspiracies and stuff, and even if it turns out that it's a globe, then I don't think it will, because I think someone said that if they were gonna, if it were actually a globe, they'd say it's flat, because they would go around saying it's flat and they'd come up with some excuse or whatever, and they would, if they can convince us it's a globe and it's actually flat, then they would, if it was a globe, they would convince us it's flat, because they can gain from knowing something that we think it's the other thing that's true, but they know it's not true. So but how you doing, Psychic Warrior? How you doing, anonymous guest? Thanks for joining me. All right, so Dell's just finished, so I'm just gonna share this out. So and live right now. That's just so I can do is put I need to shorten that because it won't let me put a link out on so people can just copy and paste it in. So that's. Alright, anyway, the moon is the opposite of the sun, good and evil. Possibly. Maybe they want us to worship the sun when, actually, we shouldn't worship anything, but, maybe the sun is the thing that shouldn't really be worshipped. So, I don't know. I don't think you should worship anything. It's pretty screwed up, isn't it? So I'm just sharing it out on Dell's because he just finished, so. Anyway, Buck Mulligan, how you doing? Sam Hardy, how you doing? Thanks for joining me. So, anyway, God is represented by the sun, evil, goddess, the moon. I don't know, maybe they flip everything. Because they get us to, worship the sun, being the center, heliocentrism. They put the sun at the center. They put us as just being some random planet that's orbiting the sun, and then they make it even more random that we're also, that the sun's also moving through the cosmos. We're moving with it, just randomly, just doing all these acrobatics through space, through infinite space. Martin Connolly, how you doing? So what are you here to talk about? Whatever you guys want. I mean, as long as it's kind of relevant. I like to talk about the flat Earth, how it's most likely not a spinning globe as we're told it is. Mr. Menza, how you doing? Maggie M, how you doing? So yeah, corkscrewing through the void. Yeah, it's just insane, isn't it? I mean, when you think about it, it's really crazy, isn't it? Crazy how people actually believe in that nonsense. We're laughed at for believing it could be, it could be something else. It could just be, like a. Anyway. Okay, so looks like P Mars. Let's have a look. Kind of. Flat Earth effect. How could somebody believe the moon is 230,000 miles away and you can see so much detail in it? Yeah, I mean, it's just so absurd that people actually believe in such crazy distances. But then they're saying the sun's 93 million miles, another 400 times further than what they're claiming the moon to be. I mean, it just doesn't add up, does it? It doesn't add up at all. Yeah, I mean, just look at the people. Yeah, so much detail because it's huge. I mean, where's the proof that it's so big? Like, has anyone even tested light being able to travel thousands and thousands and thousands of miles? I don't even know if it's possible, to be honest.
No.
Well, they say the diameter of the moon is about a couple of thousand miles, I think. About 2,200 miles, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, flat Earth unity, it's happening. Even though there is division, fractions, whatever you call it, different sects of it. Not really good, but whatever. As long as we can all try and work together to find out what the hell's going on, because there is an investigation that into the true nature of our reality. Anyway, make sure to like and share if you haven't already. So what I do is I retweet people's tweets on Twitter, and what I can do is I can get, and sometimes they might retweet my retweet, whatever. They might, so then I can they might just help a little bit. So yeah, if anyone wants to join me for a little while, then let me know what channel. League of Nerds channel. Let's just type it in. League of Nerds. Okay, so what makes you say the Earth is a globe then? So if you believe the Earth's a globe, then what proof do you have for that? Any real proof that we're on a sphere? How are you doing, Neil? Neil, I've been in Blackpool today and had a meet up with some people. Ranty Rant was there. Anthony Riley was there. Antonio Subirats came late, but he turned up. Some other people. Chris Trueseeker, Gav, Night Angel, and some other people turned up as well. But yeah, we had a blast. We saw some things that we shouldn't be able to see on the globe Earth. So yeah, at least I've actually seen something that's, I haven't took any, I haven't took any videos of it or anything, but, any pictures, but I don't feel like I need to. I don't need to prove this shit to anybody. I see what I see. If they want to say, oh, you can't trust your eyes, then prove it. Go close your eyes and fucking go out in the road. What you can do is you can make out some mathematical probability as to when you can go out in the road and just blindfold yourself and just come up with some mathematical theories when you can go across the road, when it's safe to do so, because of logic and all that, right? And try and do it. I fucking dare you. You're not gonna fucking do it, are you? Because you rely on your senses every single freaking day, So don't even give me that, oh, you can't trust your senses. I mean, of course you can trust your senses. How are you doing? Tay88. Chris says I would have come, but I'm away camping right now. Cool. Who you want to mute? Well, if there's somebody that's, disrupting, then, I'll do that. Moderator. Done. Yeah, anyway, spirits the enlightened mind knows it's dreaming even when asleep. I mean, I've heard people saying about the lucid dreaming state when they're aware that they're dreaming, even when they're dreaming. Well, what if this is just a dream, what if this is just like a dream within a dream, Could be. Who knows what this is. So, Okay, and so it's a fracking nightmare, and I want to wake up. Why the hell does my sub count keep fluctuating? It keeps going up, down, up, down, up, down. What the fuck's going on? Keep seeing it. Yeah, I'm getting a bit fed up of that. It's like they're unsubbing people. I don't know. Maybe people just don't want to see my content anymore or something. But it seems kind of fishy to me. But you know, it's not going to stop me. It's God's dream, possibly. I mean, yeah, that's could be how it is. Anyway, let's just try and share out somewhere else, because I'm really bored right now. Right. Yeah, I got the train. Literally, as I got the perfect timing, got to the train just in time. It was there waiting. So, ages C1844. How are you doing? Just doing it out on another, basically doing another retweet thing. So it's a new strategy I'm using. I recommend other people do it as well if they're trying to get some viewers. They might get somebody retweeting, and just maybe someone just says it, you know. All right, that's done. All right, so Buck Mulligan's just saying so he's on Twitter now, saying he got blocked from a flat earther chat. Apparently I was being disruptive. Seems like some people are scared to have their views challenged. Well, he didn't provide anything. There's this Buck Mulligan is now on Twitter spitting out the dummy, I think. Oh god. So apparently it's from Ireland, something. Anyway. So what did it? Alright, it's back. You're alright to be in chat, talk about your spinning ball if you want. Yeah. Globe Exit, how you doing? Just finished a video about the NDGT and Katy Perry meeting in memes. Want to see it? Probably I'll look at that. Alright, yeah. So they say that we don't want our views challenged, like as if we believe that it was flat from we were born, and somehow we've seen this spinning ball Earth, and we're like saying that it's not spinning ball. Yeah, I mean most of us, I mean all of us, you know, probably believed it was a spinning ball up to a point, and then started questioning that, and you know, and challenging, you know, and having their views challenged on the spinning ball Earth. So you know, it's the spinning ball Earth that's been rammed down people's throats. So when people are pushing that, all they're doing is appealing to authority. That's all they're doing. They're just appealing to men in white coats because you think, oh well, they know more than me, you know. Yeah, it's just to make you feel like, you know, like you can't do science. I mean, so you know, you can't know what's real and what isn't real. You know, there's a book, gmail.com as me and we could chat. That would be interesting. I don't know. I mean, 0 content, 40 subs. So what you want to come on and talk about? You talk about the sphere Earth and how you can prove it. So let me know what you want to come on and talk about, because you can talk about whatever you want. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be flat versus globe Earth, or whatever. If anyone else wants to join, let me know, and I can sort your link out. All right. Not too sure about the Mandela effect myself. Peter Snugdatch, how you doing? Alison, how you doing? So he's not responded. So does that mean he's not? So what do you want to come on and talk about then, Buck Mulligan? You want to come on and talk about the sphere Earth, the spherical Earth proof that it's an oblate spheroid, whatever? Let me know. Morky Love, how you doing? Mass One, how are you doing? Thanks for joining me this evening. Thanks, Alison. So if he's going to respond, then I'll let him on. But till that, anyone else that wants to join, I'm going to let them on first. Chris says that's why I believe in it. Also, it can't be proved, but because the evidence has conveniently been changed. What's that? Sun's out, I might be able to keep looking at. I don't know what I was talking about, but it's at 33 viewers right now. Yeah, the Masonic codes. So yeah, to jump on it, I'm not scared to debate him. It's not a debate, so I have no reason to even want to. History is written by the winners. The truth is never a factor. Buck Mulligan, I will tell you all about myself if you send a link to the chat. I'm a pretty cool guy. Whatever, I've not really got anything better to do. I get sniped or whatever, then so be it. I just need to just go up and find your email again. Right, can you just put it out in chat again, your address, so I can send you the link? Yeah. Infinite Gem Pandas. Oh my god. Can you just put your link out again in chat, please? Can't quite find it. Well, I mean, if you accept the globe as a reality, then you can come and bring proof. But yeah, if you can it's probably real. Just give it the benefit of the doubt. Come on. I mean, I know, like, it may, just for believing in the globe, but, it's fine if he believes that. And yeah, he is on Twitter. He's, got a few hundred followers over there. So, I mean, it could be legit. Right, cool. Let's do that. Right. So, as long as you come on and be respectful, I can, I don't mind that. It's good to mix it up a bit now and then. I don't want it to be an echo chamber. So that's done. Anyway, it's an open platform, so you can come on and say what he wants to say. I sent it to you. I just sent you the link. I'll send it again just in case, because it should be there. I'll just send it one more time just to make sure. Right, that's done. Last one. I'll send you the link as well. Just bear with me. Right, that's done. So I have 2 people coming on. If anyone else that wants to come on, then let me know and I can sort you. Project Eli, how are you doing? It's about 11:45 here in the UK. I don't know where it will be where you live, but Project Eli, how are you doing? Can you turn down your watch page?
Thanks, man. It's off. I just spent maybe an hour talking with Vegan Warrior.
Did it go well then?
All over. We were all over the place, though. He had a chat open. But yeah, I did mention Sam. I mentioned in that Slab Hangout, Flat Earth Assholes rant.
I saw like a bit of it. The whole, Math Powell and Flat Earth Asshole drama thing that's going on.
Yeah, drama. We talked about
a mess, hasn't it? All this drama and stuff. It's.
Mm-hmm.
And airing their dirty laundry out in public, it's not needed, is it? So, anonymous guest, I've sent you a link as well.
Yeah, it's something.
I'm expecting somebody called Buck Milligan, so
sorry.
Coming on, but he said he wanted a link, so I think it's some globe earther or something.
It's something that never really should have happened, like that.
What happened? What is it? Did it go a bit pear-shaped?
Something. It's something math should have just never did. And then
we're going about the
how don't start nothing, there won't be nothing. So it's
because you got to like take responsibility, haven't you? Really?
I feel that I will have to take Flat Earth Asshole's word for it that he actually said that math is dead to him and he will never mention him again. So
it seems. I saw some of it, it seemed like that. Because they used to be good buddies and stuff, and it all fell apart really.
Yeah.
Maybe they're both plants or something, and it was supposed to happen so that it would cause division.
Yeah, that's a possibility. But what happened was Flat Earth Asshole came out on his channel and said that Math asked him to be an actor and act like it was a play fight so it could work out in both their benefit. And he was like, he wanted me to lie to my subscribers. And I was like, no. So I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't recommend taking anybody's word for anything, to be honest. It's just
anymore.
You need to really just ignore and just focus on the content that they're providing. Because if they're pushing good content, then that's the important part.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's just like drop all that extra noise and stay.
But then again, what does math really provide? Forward painting.
Yep, exactly.
But whatever, it's just drama, isn't it? And it could well just get worse. If they're infiltrating it, then it's just going to get worse because they want to.
Mm-hmm.
But we just got to realize that it's
dividing the movement.
Yeah. Right. He keeps putting his Gmail. Actually, an easier way to send it, and actually might be if I go to what I can do is what I can do actually is if I send him because it doesn't seem like I can send it to his Gmail for some reason. So what I'll do is I'll message him and send it there through Twitter, and then maybe I'll get it that way. Done. Yeah, flat Earth is here to stay. Yeah, according to Denver Post, there could be up to 1 in 500 of us right now. Buck Milligan, I've sent a link to your a message on Twitter. So if you want to come on, that's where you can find it.
I'm too legit to quit.
Well, a fake won't admit to being fake. Yeah.
You guys can't hear it.
No, I'm not being in touch with Joel from Question Everything. He's shut his channel down for some reason. I don't know. I mean, maybe it was just getting to him all this stuff, and he had to just kind of pack it in for a while. Because obviously, you know, if you've got personal stuff to do, and you know, then maybe he just needed a break.
Hey, you can't hear me chewing, right? I hope not.
Don't think so.
Okay, cool. Because I'm munching on some pretzels. And I don't want...
Well, as long as you're not munching on something else.
Munchies, you know what I mean? Munchies, get it? What's up, Too Legit? Is that you?
Hello?
Too Legit to quit.
Yeah,
Brian, hello, how are you?
yeah, I'm not so bad. Are you? Sorry about that you got blocked before.
Morky.
You sounded a little bit quiet.
I'm done. Putting away my pretzels.
How do I sound now?
Sound a little quiet.
Right, my phone's not working properly. Give me a second.
People in chat comparing it to PMIs.
How does that sound?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, that's grand then. Okay, so what was I going to say again? So it's your position on senses that you can't trust your senses.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that you should trust your senses because we use them every day.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So the argument against that, and the whole purpose is the purpose of science is to remove your bias. Your senses exist. So the vast majority of human existence, we were picking berries, we were catching animals. You know, that's what our senses are for. That's what they're designed for. They weren't designed for understanding the universe. So what science is there, that system, that method is there to help us remove our own bias and to try to understand the world, to understand the universe for how it actually is. So your senses tell you absolutely nothing about. So the Black Plague, people believe that the Black Plague was caused by an angry god or bad smells or, you know, any number of things. These people did not know about, you know, germs. They didn't know about viruses. They didn't know about anything like that. You can't see those things. So your senses are absolutely worthless.
I can't see the curve. That's all I know.
Well, yeah, but you can't see germs. You can't see viruses.
Yeah, I can. I just can't focus in on it.
Well, you could use instruments, and that's what people do. Is they use instruments.
Yes, exactly. You use instruments to do that, and you can use instruments.
But it still requires your senses, though.
Yes, you still require, but you can't just trust your senses. Your senses on their own. Your senses on their own aren't good enough.
I can trust my sight and smell. I know when I'm smelling some bullshit.
So what do you think that you need to use to understand the true nature of our universe then?
Well, okay, first of all, so Neil deGrasse Tyson has this extremely interesting, slightly terrifying point. So we share 99.9% of our DNA with a chimpanzee, right? So and a chimpanzee can't understand mathematics, it can't understand physics, can't understand anything. It's and it is totally oblivious to the fact that it can't understand it, right? So maybe we can't really understand the truth of the universe. Maybe it's there and it's very obvious our brains just aren't even capable of understanding it, which is possible. But what we can do is to a certain point trust science, because it has worked over and over and over again to get us as close to the truth as we possibly can.
What do you think the criteria is to the scientific method?
Well, the Okay, so there isn't one scientific method. There are, lots and lots, and it depends on your particular field and depends on what exactly it is you're trying to do. But for the most part, it is you create a hypothesis. You say, this is what I'm suggesting is the truth. You then set out an experiment and say, well, if this is true, then this experiment will do this. You then carry out the experiment.
If you mix 1 pound of bullshit into 99 pounds of ice cream, what are you left with?
Okay. So then what you do is you publish yours, and then the whole idea is you take your results, you then publish them through peer review. And the whole idea of peer review is that other people can look at the test that you've done, can go do it for themselves, can point out the mistakes that you've made, can point out particular biases you have, and then can run the test again themselves and say, this is where you're wrong. And so that's why it works. It's not just one person. So in the past, it was Aristotle Socrates, the smartest man in the world, he was considered. So what would happen is he would say something, and then everyone would go, oh, well, Socrates said it, so it's true. And then science came along and said, no, it doesn't matter. Socrates doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how clever everyone else thinks you are. What matters is what your evidence is.
How much do you agree with Neil deGrasse Tyson? How much do you agree with him on?
I mean, like the vast majority of the stuff he talks about, I don't really understand it. He's an astrophysicist.
Do you agree that it's correct?
I agree that we have to be a little closer. But what are you talking about?
Do you agree with what he says?
Says is the current consensus at the moment.
Do you believe in gravity?
Yes, I believe. You mean the theory of gravity?
Okay, you believe in that. Okay.
I believe that current theory of gravity. Yeah, but it could change. That's the reality. It could, if new, because you take it right now. So you're aware of this whole idea of like dark matter and dark energy.
I'm aware of this theory.
Oh yeah, exactly. These are just theories, right? So what's happening is there's 98% of the universe is invisible to us. We can't see it, right? And that's what we call dark matter. And for some reason, this seems to be like holding galaxies together.
You just said what is happening. So you just took a theory and made it into a reality.
Okay. So you're making a so see, when scientists talk about theory, they don't mean it the way that, like, so when me and you, like, say if you walked outside and you seen your bin knocked over and you went, well, I have a theory that the dog knocked it over, right? When science talks about theories, they are talking about something totally different. They're not using it the same way that we use it. So the language of science is very different from the sort of language that we would use day to day. So
their theories matter more because they have a PhD in a white lab coat.
No. Their theories matter more. PhDs matter a bit, but it's the evidence. It's their proof. These sorts of things. It doesn't matter how smart you are.
It's still a theory at the end of the day.
No. You're confusing the language. It's not. It's not just. It's a scientific theory. Is a very, very different.
Using gravity is a theory, correct?
Yeah, but you're using it the way that people use it. Gravity is a theory in the sense that you're using it the way that like laymen use it. Like when scientists talk about theory, that's a very different.
They teach our children that it is a fact.
A scientific theory is almost fact. Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah, it is. Well, it is scientific.
A theory cannot be an almost a fact.
Oh yeah, it's sort
of.
No,
it cannot be. It cannot be.
Yes, it can. Of course, it can.
A theory cannot be.
Yes, it can.
Almost a fact.
You don't understand. The issue is
it's either a theory or a fact. It's either a theory or a fact. There's no almost. It's either a theory or a fact.
Science doesn't work with facts. Science doesn't say this is.
I don't give a shit what science does, man.
Okay, well, we're having a conversation about science. So what? I don't care what.
You're not hearing me though. Theory is not a fact. Theory, it's not.
Would you like me to explain this to you, or would you like just to keep repeating bullshit and ass crying? Would you like me to explain this to you?
Listen, why do they teach our kids that gravity is real?
Because it's true. That's why. It's true in the truest sense that you can possibly say anything that is true. That's why. I can't for 100%. I cannot say with 100% certainty that this conversation isn't a dream. I can only be a certain amount certain, right? So the reality is I can say nothing is true. I can't say that for all I know that you're a robot at the end of this. You're a voice simulator. but I have a fair idea. I can be to a certain degree positive that you are a real person, right? So that's all. That's you don't know if I'm a machine.
Okay, what is a belief? If you believe something, but you don't know it, but
I think a belief is what it depends on what you mean, but it depends on what you mean by belief.
Okay, if you believe in something, but you don't know if it's a fact or not, that's called faith.
Yes.
Okay. So if something's a theory and it's not a fact,
no, you're confusing a scientific theory.
You're going off on
theory.
faith.
You're confusing these words. That is not what a scientific theory is compared to what you use theory. So when we talk about the theory of evolution, there is an enormous amount of evidence to back that up.
So what happened to the missing links in the evolutionary chain?
There are no missing. Everything is a link. This is the thing, right? See, once you find something that you've never seen before, that's a missing link in something. We are a link. Everything is a link.
Okay. We just have to agree to disagree. Then that's all.
No, but there isn't. No, but you don't understand the language of science, and this is the issue.
You mean the religion of science, not language?
That's silly. No, what science is. Okay, this is the reality, right? Up until about a few hundred years ago, up until the invention of science, everything we knew it was largely guesswork. And when people looked up at the sky, they went, "Oh well, those are holes in the tarp, and the light that's shining through is heaven." Right? They had to just make up stuff to try to understand what was going on around them. And then science came along, and it gave us a method of actually understanding the universe for how it actually is, and we didn't need to make up things anymore. And just
really? And the Egyptians built their pyramids to align with Orion perfectly back how long ago?
Well, I don't understand this. Yes, these people were using engineering. Yeah, these were good, solid engineers.
They weren't using their eyesight for that.
They were using tools, using measuring tapes. They were using geometry. They were using basic mathematics. Not even basic. They were using like advanced mathematics. Yeah, these people were good engineers.
Okay.
Anyway, got another guess. How you doing?
Doing all right. I was just listening to what he had to say, and what he failed to mention was the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, where the observer affects the. Now you can interrupt me if you want to, or you can let me finish speaking.
Carry on.
No, I'm done. Go ahead. It sounded like you had something more important to say than what I was attempting to say.
Why would I bring up the Heisenberg uncertainty principle?
Because it's just like the double slit experiment, where depending on how you observe it, affects the outcome.
Okay. Why would I bring that up?
Well, I don't know. You were just interrupting me as I was talking, so I figured you were already on page.
What you said was he failed to bring up, and I'm wondering why in what I was saying would I bring up the Heisenberg uncertainty principle?
Oh, so okay, I understand. You were so in shock, you interrupted me, so I couldn't finish.
Yeah, again, I'm asking you.
Okay.
I'm asking you whereabouts in the conversation that I was having, where would I have brought up the Heisenberg uncertainty principle?
Okay. You know what? I'll give you that one. Why would you bring it up? I don't know. I would bring it up, and I am bringing it up. But if you haven't even thought about that the observer affects the outcome, then let's talk about what you said with we can't understand science.
Okay, listen,
this language is not.
Sorry. That's not what the Heisenberg uncertainty principle is.
Are you saying the observer does not affect the outcome?
No, I'm not saying that. The observer does on when we're talking about in the level of particles here, right? That's not what the Heisenberg uncertainty principle is. You don't know what that is. You've just named it wrong.
Okay, so are you saying that the observer does not affect the outcome?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that's not what the Heisenberg uncertainty principle is.
Okay, so are we agreeing that the observer does influence the outcome?
Okay, right. So you can state that's not what the Heisenberg uncertainty principle is. That's just what they call.
He won't agree to that. The observer.
No. This is the reality. On very small levels, that is the case. So when we are talking about proton, yes, that's the case.
All right. Well, that sounds really good. That means we have one instance where we all agree that the observer affects the outcome of the experiment. Is that true?
Yes, when we're talking about protons and electrons.
Excellent. So there's one case, and science is on board, and you're on board, that the observer does influence and affect the outcome of the experiment.
But that's not the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which you don't seem to know what that is. You just said.
Oh, well, that's fine. Maybe I misspoke, but as long as we agree on the observer affects the outcome, that's actually the main thrust of what I was saying.
Only in like a very, very certain, like if it's in a very, very specific type of experiment.
Only on leap years.
But not like it's not like we're talking about like if you mix two chemicals with one another, it doesn't matter who's looking at it or who's not looking at it, those chemicals are going to have the same reaction regardless. So that's the case. So when we're talking about the observer, it changes the experiment. So basically, what's happening here, and people like made this very mystical when it's not mystical. So basically, when you're looking at something, see when you're saying you're firing a proton in a certain direction, right? So you understand how sight works, where protons from the light source bounce off your eyes, bounce off an object, and then bounce back to your eyes, and that's how sight works, right? So if you're trying to study how protons move, what you're doing is protons are bouncing off your eyes or your camera or whatever, and then hitting off that proton, and so that's changing how that proton's going to behave because you're observing it, because you're looking at it, and the protons of whatever you're observing it with are bouncing off that proton. Well, it's going to change its direction. So it's not mystical, it's not magical, it's just physics. It's just it's just physics is happening. But carry on.
But,
so yeah.
Theories are not repeatable. Theories are not repeatable, observable, or
yes,
measurable.
they are. What are you talking about? Yes, they are.
Theories are not.
No, I just.
Theories.
Yeah.
Okay, no. Let the other guy. What's your name? Heisenberg and certainty principle guy.
Just call me Heisenberg.
I'm using my telephone as an actual phone, so I can't say anybody's names.
Just fine. Just call me Heisenberg. So what I just understood in your long explanation was if a tree falls in the forest and no one is there, does it make a sound? Did we need science to know that? Because in the very beginning of what you said when you came in here was we didn't know what was going on, and so we developed science to explain to us what is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, what? It sounds to me like, well, we don't know the word of God. Wait, hold on.
No.
Wait. I want to get a pattern.
Remove their bias.
I wanted to get a pattern going here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to get a pattern.
Okay.
The pattern here is we couldn't understand the word of God. Group of very smart people talk to us in Latin about it and then tell us what it meant, and no one could read about it. It's the same confidence game. It's science. So you can't understand it. It's a different language.
No. I'll explain to you why that's. Do you want me to explain to you why that's wrong? Okay.
Well, why'd you say it's a different language? You said science is a different language. Were you incorrect when you said science is a different language?
You can understand this language. I am saying to you, theory does not. When scientists talk about theory, they're not talking about it in the same way as we use it. That's what I'm explaining to you. So basically, what happened is a small group of people had control over these books, had control over this language, right?
No, they actually are talking about it in the same way we talk about it, but you're just highly confused.
No, they aren't. A scientific.
Highly
when we use theory, scientists talk about hypothesis. So a hypothesis is just an idea. It's just something you've thought up.
It's a
just something you
guess.
think might be true.
An educated guess.
An educated guess. That's an hypothesis, right? So when you say theory, you're thinking of a hypothesis, right? When scientists talk about theory, they're talking about, so a theory needs to have before something could be classified as a theory, it needs to have a huge amount of evidence behind it from lots of different fields, right? So when the scientists say theory, it's this big, heavy, weighty thing. When you say theory, what you really mean is hypothesis, right? So evolution evolution started when Darwin came up with this idea. It started off as a hypothesis. Then, as evidence grew from genetics, from anthropology, from fossil evidence, all these different fields, what it grew into was a theory. So it started off as a hypothesis.
How much evidence out there of Bigfoot theory is there?
None, really. There's no Bigfoot.
You said it needs to have a lot of evidence.
There's no such thing as Bigfoot theory. That's a thing that
You know how many millions of people believe in Bigfoot?
Do you know how many millions of people believe in the Loch Ness Monster? Do you know how many millions of people believe in all sorts of theories?
You just said there has to be lots of evidence for it to become a theory.
So not only do you not know what evidence, you don't know what evidence means.
So what's your criteria of evidence
for Bigfoot? It's just people telling stories. Okay, right. So this is how people used to understand the world by, I seen Bigfoot. Well, if he said he's seen Bigfoot, well then it must be true, right? And then science came along. It was like, no, we need a higher standard of evidence. We need.
And they said this pen drops out of my hand because of gravity. This apple fell and hit me because of gravity.
Yeah.
And they're teaching it as fact.
It is fact. That's why.
Oh, say that again. Say gravity is a fact.
Gravity is a fact.
Okay, I'm done talking to you.
You're not very bright.
Brother, I have one more thing to add to this, and this is very important.
Go ahead, fire away.
Do I have your full attention?
Because
this is actually the listen, Morky Love. I love you.
Go ahead.
Shout out to Morky Love. Sorry, Ranty. I can't talk to someone that just told me gravity is a fact. I can't.
You're not very bright. That's okay.
Okay, I'm not. Okay, doctor.
But what was the other guy? You were saying you wanted to ask me something.
I've seen a lot of people asking you to get the fuck out of here. Sorry
Why?
to say.
Why do you not want your? This is why science. This is why science works, right?
I'm just being a dickhead right now, man.
Okay, right. So the reason. Okay, so basically the reason that science works, someone puts an idea out, and then other people's job it is to tear that idea apart. And the good ideas manage to survive, and the bad ideas die. That's why science works. The peer review is a process of this is my idea. Here's my evidence. What do you think? And then it's everybody else's job to tear it apart. So it's if you have an idea, if you have a belief, and you want to prove that it's true, well, put it out there. And if that idea cannot survive argument, then it's probably not a good idea.
So, well, what we would say is that you know, like obviously, you know, if you drop something, it's going to fall to the ground. But
yes,
you know, but
no, okay,
so
gravity
what
is the
makes you say it's gravity that's making it fall to the ground?
Well, experiment. That's why it's experiment over and over again. That shows
Over and over again.
It's the theory of gravity.
We drop things over and over again, and we measure the rate that it falls
it's more than just you drop things and then say it's gravity. What the theory of gravity is why do things fall, right? And it's sort of this explanation. And then Einstein obviously came on and talked about, actually we're an indent in space time, you know. So every object has gravity. So you have gravity, I have gravity, your pen has gravity, and we're making this dent in space time, and things are sort of like falling into the dent, sort of, you know. But again, and all this stuff is counterintuitive. It doesn't make any sense to you because again, your brain is for picking berries and catching squirrels.
Buck, how far is the sun away from us?
Whatever millions of miles. I'm not totally sure. I don't know off the top of my head.
How many?
Whatever millions of miles. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. How far is the moon?
250,000. I know that one.
Okay.
3 days by.
Oh, good. Quarter of a million miles. That's how far the moon is.
Yeah, something around that, isn't it?
236,000 miles.
200. It's by.
Yeah, it's a little.
Yeah, that's sort of quarter of a million.
239,000 miles. 238,000 and some change. But that's not the problem. The problem is the right eye of the man in the moon is 750 miles in diameter. We're told that we can see that. We're told we can see there's something on the moon. It's called the right eye of the man in the moon. We're told it's 750 miles in diameter. We're also told the moon is 239,000 miles away.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes perfect sense.
Again, right now, but you see when you start getting into this, like, carry on.
I just asked you, are you good with that? Those are the numbers.
Can you see if those are the numbers? I'm not
200?
totally sure off the top of my head, but if those are the numbers.
Oh, well, somebody in the chat, please pull up the link. Man in the moon, right eye, it's 750 miles in diameter.
Whatever.
And also,
we can see impacts on the moon, see craters, and see all that stuff. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so you're telling me you can see something. You believe that you can see something.
I don't believe
750 miles in diameter.
See that stuff on the moon. Yeah.
No, I can look up the sky and see what's in the sky. Yeah, but we're told.
Yeah.
Now here's the important part that I think that you're missing here. You have been told. I have been told. We have all been told that the man in the moon, his right eye, is 750 miles in diameter. That's one thing we've been told. Next thing we've been told is that light in the sky that we call the moon is 239,000 miles away. Do you honestly believe that you can see 239,000 miles away? That's 750 miles in diameter.
Yeah, I can. Sarah, I can see it.
No. I mean, I know you can see it. We can all see the right eye of the man in the moon. That's not. I'm not asking you if you can and can't see it. I'm saying.
But again, yeah,
from those numbers,
I believe that this object is an enormous object and 250,000 miles away from us. I believe that. Yeah.
Brother, we're arguing religion, man. You believe what you believe, and I believe what I believe.
No.
See what's going on here?
No.
Yeah.
No. This is not, because if the evidence was to change, if they were to say, well, the moon is actually so much more distance this way or so much distance the other way, I'd go, all right, that's fair enough then. This isn't religion. There you are, if you wanted to take out a laser and knock off that reflector that the Apollo 11 left up there, and you would be fit to tell that night how far away that reflector was sitting. I mean, like, if you wanted to go out and spend that money and buy that equipment, you could go run that experiment yourself. I mean, like. So
you believe that someone actually landed on the moon?
Yes, of course I do.
You mean to tell me you have seen no evidence? You have seen absolutely no footage, no photos of any kind whatsoever.
Yeah, I've seen
that is at least suspect. You had no doubt in your mind, like every single image that you've seen
I
from
think
NASA?
because from at the age of like 13, because I've like had like a better understanding of the moon landing and of the technology and of the whole politics and everything that was going on at that period, I've never had any doubt because I've had a better understanding at the age of like 13 or 14 than most adults do. So like I mean like it's
Okay,
not. So I was a 9/11. So I was a 9/11 truther for a portion. So you know it took a that will be the closest I would have to like believing in like a real big conspiracy. But no, there was never any like doubts in the moon landing.
How many years of school were you held back?
How many years ago was I what, sorry?
How many years of school were you held back?
Why can you go away? You're the least interesting human being I've ever talked to.
Okay, hey, let's just
you're like one of the dumbest people who I've ever.
No, stop, please. Wait, this chat was going so well.
Yeah, no, I'm happy enough talking to you.
Please.
I'm happy enough talking.
So it sounded to me like you said at age 13 something happened to you.
No. At the age,
that what you just said?
No. At the age 13, I understood and knew more about sort of the moon landing and the politics that were going on, space race, and I had a better understanding of that than most people do now. So it never was something that I even considered doubting. Like it's because I had such a decent grounded understanding of everything going on at that period. It never even I met moon landing deniers and it always just seemed so ridiculous to me. So it's not something that ever, because you know it's sort of like 9/11. Okay, I don't know what conspiracies like. So when I believed in 9/11, the truth or conspiracy, I only was fit to believe it because I knew absolutely nothing about any of the stuff going on around it. And then the more I read and the more I learned, the sillier the conspiracy becomes. So because I had such a decent grounding in the science and the politics and everything was going around the Apollo missions, there was never ever any doubt. Like there was never any reason for me to ever any doubt that sort of way.
Have you ever heard of the expression that a cup that it's already full cannot be filled?
Never. Well, what does it mean?
Basically, what you're saying,
point?
It means that you're so sure of what you believe that you're not allowing yourself to critique what you believe.
No. I would totally happy take it, but it's when you have so much information on the topic already. It's like there's no point. It's like doubting that my parents are actually my parents. You know, it's like someone saying, "Oh, you're actually adopted 5 years old," but you know, I've seen my birth. I've seen my birth certificate. I know the doctor who looked after my parents. I have all this information. So if you were to come to me and say, "Oh, your parents adopted you when you were sick," I would know that's wrong just from all the information that I already have. So because I have such strong foundation of information that and the claims, because I've heard all the moon landing denier claims, and because they are so obviously silly to me.
So you've never heard of an instance where somebody came back and said, "Mom, I got this medical condition," and then Mom says, we adopted you.
I'm talking about me.
But you have heard heard that does happen, that someone goes back to their parents and says, "Hey, I got this medical condition," and then
I'm talking about me. I'm talking about me who has baby photographs.
I'm talking about you too. I'm just saying that if I'm going to give you an example that it is possible, that's all I'm trying to go with right now. Just if you can agree with me, there's a possibility that someone like you lives that their parents were their parents, and then a medical condition came up. They went back to the parents and said, "Hey, I got this medical condition," and it's come out. Oh wow, yeah, I'm adopted. I mean, you have heard of this, so it is possible. That's all I want you to say. It is possible that someone that is so well, okay, they're 100% in their minds.
My point.
Mom and dad.
My point was if someone tried to tell me that I was adopted at the age of 6 years old, like that's literally like there's baby photographs of me there. That's literally
no.
There's too much information.
No, you're missing the point.
No, again, let's drop this because we're like it doesn't.
Hey Bob, you ain't gonna crack this nut, bro.
Bro.
All right. I'll let it go.
Carry on.
My whole point of that was if it can happen to someone else, then it can happen to you too. And I'm not talking about you and your parents. I'm talking about that you might have been deceived and you believe in it so strongly that you won't question it. That's all I'm saying.
No, my position is right is question. Okay, so I was very religious at one point in my life. I wanted to be a priest. I believed in God totally. I 9/11 truth, or I had all these things that I totally believed in, and then just through a desire, sort of not even a desire, but sort of like a built-in whatever to have to question everything. So I'm now an atheist because of having to question things, because I'm no longer a 9/11 truth, or because of an introduction to scientific
Yeah, man.
skepticism.
All right,
Okay.
dude, Buck. Hey, I want to apologize to Buck, man. Raven, you're right.
I want to apologize.
Angel Raven's right.
I want to go
I shouldn't
out
be
here to
talking
my
shit like
truck
this.
because I got teeth in my heart.
No, I shouldn't be talking shit. He let him be what he wants to be.
Talk shit. My cousin's sitting out here and she's looking all pretty.
Hey, brother, we love you, man. We love you. I mean, you can do that all you want, but there's some love out in this community.
I'm happy enough talking to you. I don't want to talk to this other guy, though.
Okay, fair enough. Can you guys just not talk to each other, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, what's the middle ground here?
But carry on. Question everything. I am totally and completely.
Okay, I'm gonna give you something here, and I don't know if you have a little notebook or maybe you've got photographic memory. So I'm just gonna say some stuff, and then you make sure that what I'm telling you isn't a lie. Okay.
Okay.
The ones behind the deception. I'm gonna make an assumption, okay, that we're being deceived. Now just bear with me till we get to the end of everything here.
Okay.
Now this group, they're very powerful. They have control of the English language. Look up Merriam-Webster's online dictionary for the definition of definition. You'll see which group I'm talking about. They control all the corporations. These are what you would call countries. They're actually corporations. You can find this out. Google's your friend. You don't own anything. You'll discover you don't have a title. You might have a certificate of title. You might have some kind of paperwork, but it's not a title. So you don't own anything. It belongs to the state, which is a corporation, which belongs to the Vatican. And if you look at your money, if you follow the money, God, the Vatican. That's a big difference, brother. Huge difference. That's not God. That's God government. Okay.
We're a level down in conspiracy theories. I didn't realize we were.
No. Carry on. So I told you, I just checked my facts is what I wanted you to do, so that the next time we speak, you can say, hey, you were wrong about the English language, or hey, you were wrong about the fiat currency, or hey, you were wrong about the titles of land and all that good stuff, or maybe I was wrong that countries do exist and they're not corporations. Maybe I'm wrong about all that. So, and then the next time we speak, you'll see why at least I have a reason to doubt anything that comes out from the mainstream.
Okay, but so well, let's just start in that. I guess this sort of idea that they control the language. Who are they, and how could anybody control that? Especially the English language that is so fluid, and words come into it, and words disappear, and words change. And we can look back 100 years and see how people's language has changed. We can look back, if you want to go back as far as Shakespeare, and look at how much language has changed since then. I mean, like, how can someone really? I mean, the French are desperately trying to control language and saying which words are which, and trying to replace it. When English words make their way into the lexicon, they're trying to say no, we're going to use this French word, and then people don't use it, so there's a French word for internet that nobody uses. Everybody uses the English word. So I mean, how is anyone controlling the language?
Brother, you know what? I think that's a great question. It's a great question. Maybe I'll contact Merriam-Webster's dictionary and ask them, why do you have the entry? No, wait. I'm just saying that's one point. Well, you're saying it doesn't matter, but they publish a dictionary, and they're telling me that the definition in the English language is Roman Catholic dogma.
Again, but who cares what Roman? Dictionaries don't even matter anymore. We live in a period of Wikipedia. So if a new word comes up, brother, it used to be that the dictionary used to decide what words got to be words in a way. So if they decided they didn't like that word, it didn't get to be in it. But now we live.
Brother, I'm gonna take your recording with me next time I go to court and let them know that we have this science guy that's really in tune with everything, and he's telling me that words don't matter and that your dictionary doesn't matter.
No, I'm
gonna do that in court, okay? Because dictionaries don't matter and words don't matter.
No. Okay. What I'm saying is you're saying they're controlling the words. I want you to explain. Language is extremely fluid. I want you to explain who is controlling the words, and what words are they control? What does that mean?
That means they're telling us what words mean. I don't understand why you didn't understand that. They are telling us what words mean. So if you go to court,
who you're telling us which words mean what? I mean, so you take it the word. This is really going to trigger you, is gender. You take it that there where people are screaming and shouting at each other, trying to decide what the word gender really means. I mean, so this seems to be just part of normal language, where people are trying to decide, a planet.
Wait, let's go back to what you were saying.
Pluto is no longer.
Let's go back to what you were saying about that science. Pluto's a character from Disney, and that's how I look at Pluto. So, if you go back to the language of science that you said that most mortal men can't understand, so we need these.
No, I never said that. I never said that. Take that back. I never said that. I'm saying that the word means something different. I'm saying a scientific theory is not the
so they
same
do.
way we use it.
Okay, so, wait, so the words do
can
mean
understand
something.
that.
Hold on, you are confusing me. Do the words mean something or don't they? And are they codified where someone, some authority, some jurisdiction is saying this is what words mean?
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. Within science, that is the case. But within our normal lexicon, so literally, the word literally does not mean anything anymore. It's a noise that people make. So within our language, within how we're speaking to each other, we have to use a level of common sense. We have to use a level of just understand what each other is saying and what you mean by words and what you mean by. But within something like science, within something like law, words have to have a very specific meaning. And even that, and even within those disciplines, you have to be careful as well.
When I do this, brother, I have to apologize because I always throw out something easy. So the language part, that's easy. We can debate that all day long. I want you to look into the fiat currency, who owns it. You'll find out Federal Reserve is a reserve currency for all the other currencies. The Federal Reserve is chartered within the jurisdiction of the United States. That's a corporation that's owned by the Crown of England, and the Crown of England is owned by the Vatican. You can look this up and you can see.
Crown of England. Sorry, explain. The Crown of England's owned by the Vatican. How?
Yeah, if you go back to 1213, you'll see that the Crown Corporation is owned by the Vatican. Look it up.
But what is that? What is the Crown Vatican? The Crown has literally no power whatsoever.
Washington, D.C., London, the Vatican.
What does that mean? The Crown is owned by the Vatican. I mean, the Vatican, Crown and the Vatican went to war during the freaking Henry the Eighth period. I mean,
well, now you're talking my language, brother. You're talking my language. It's wartime. It's been time since the ceasefire of the Second World War. There's no peace treaty. If you go to Germany, you'll find a lot of Germans underground talking about this because there's no peace treaty. It's been wartime since World War II. In the United States, it's been wartime since the ceasefire of the Civil War. There's also no peace treaty. So you probably don't even know where you are in all of this. You don't think you're at war right now, do you?
But again, right, just because there wasn't a peace treaty signed doesn't mean, it's that these are sort of things that just happen.
I'd like to address Angel Raven 444 in the chat. So the Magna Carta is shite. Yep, because when he signed off on that, the deal was already done in 1213. That's why the Magna Carta is just as worthless as the fucking Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution clearly isn't worthless. A Magna Carta clearly wasn't. Well, Magna Carta.
Well, let's go back.
Took another 200 years before it really.
Well, let's go
got any sort of power.
Back to definitions, bro. What's a constitution? Well, a constitution is written by a constitutor. That's one who consolidates a debt. And if you look into that, you'll find out Article 4, 1783 shows. Wait a minute. Hold on.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Now.
What? No. I'm just pointing out what I can show on paper in a jurisdiction where words do mean something. You go to court, these words do mean something, and they always mean something. Ask people in prison, they'll tell you real quick.
Tell him to get a Black's Law Dictionary and read them words and definitions.
You're one. Wesley Snipes is one of those free men. You're one of these free men of the land.
No.
But is it something similar to this?
Nope. I don't label myself. If you notice, I don't have a name on here. I'm an anonymous guest.
No, that's okay. But it's this same sort of idea where where if you were arrested, you would tell the police officer, because you watch these videos every so often, someone being arrested and going, "You have no authority over me," and it's like, yeah, we clearly do. Is it
brother?
This sort of idea?
Brother, it's not about authority. It's not about authority. You missed the point. This is wartime. You just totally missed what I was saying. If you don't see that this is wartime, then you're not going to understand what's going on around you. With who? Okay, everything that I just told you is pointing to the people that are controlling all of this. You think that control just stops after you go in and you take over a people? You have to destroy their heritage, their culture, their language, their identity. You have to destroy their heart to make them good slaves. If you don't understand, if you don't understand military conquest, I don't
understand who's destroying what.
I need you to do. What I need you to do, brother, is
first of all, who is this? Who's controlling? Who's winning this war, or what war is going on?
We're all in a slave system, man. That's what he's trying to tell you. Okay, we're all being lied to, and you don't understand it. That's what he's trying.
I appreciate the governments aren't always honest. I appreciate that there are people who are trying to lie to me, trying to deceive me. I appreciate these things, but there's a war going on with who, and who's trying to destroy what culture. And
brother, you don't know. Wait. You've never looked at a history book and found cultures devastated everywhere.
Yeah.
This is totally beyond you. You don't know.
But if you were talking about the Cultural Revolution in China, I would know what you're talking about. You're not. You're being super vague. I don't know who's trying to destroy what culture. So you're not like you're just. It's a super vague at the moment. I don't know what exactly you're talking about.
Okay, so you don't understand what I'm saying. I want you to stop paying.
Talking about Russia during the
Russian Revolution. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you.
I would know what you're
right now. I'm talking about you. I want you to stop. I want you to stop paying taxes, and you'll see how quick the fucking war comes to your front door. door. Okay, that's what I want you to try.
I would stop.
I want you to try.
But I know what would happen.
Oh, wait. What does that mean? Your voice just went up. What's going on? You don't. What do you mean? I don't know.
I would get arrested.
What?
I would get arrested if I didn't pay my taxes.
Why? Why would someone arrest you? You're free. You don't belong to anyone.
No, right. So
someone else.
No, okay, right. So we belong to society. That's
what the fuck does that mean?
Whether you like it or not, you're inside society.
No. Who or what is society? Now you're using vague words on me. Come on, let's pull out the dictionary. Who or what is society?
You understand roughly what society is. So my country.
I have no idea what you're saying. No, I don't. It's gobbledygook in my ears.
So we'll start it off in a fairly simple way.
Are you a citizen? There we go. Let's go with some words that we can't fuck around with here. Are you a citizen?
I am a citizen. Yes.
Do you even know what that means?
I have a passport. I pay my taxes. I own property. I own a car.
You don't own those things. I already told you. If you don't have a title, you don't own those things.
No. You telling me that doesn't really mean I do own those things.
Yeah, but
no. I told you earlier.
You told me that. But
if you have a plot of land or a house and you don't pay your taxes on it, they are going to take it from you. You do not own it.
Yeah. That's a. Do you know what? That's a reasonable enough statement. But yeah. As long as I pay up.
As long as you pay your owner, your master. If you don't pay the master, he takes your stuff.
So
doesn't that sound like extortion?
The idea of authority and master and stuff like that. The way this should work by right is government should be, and it really isn't, but what it should be is for the people and by the people. And so when
I agree with you right there. I do.
Into the system. When we pay our taxes, we should be paying this into the system to make the system work.
Brother, they did a sleight of hand. Most people believe that. They believe it should be for and of and by the people. And nobody's got a problem with that if the people actually had a say in it, but they don't. It's all privatized and it all goes back to the Vatican. And if you take
we've lost the Vatican.
Right? So and you can fact check every listen to me, brother. You can fact check every treaty and every contract from your citizenship, from your birth certificate. You can walk all the way up to the Vatican's front door.
You can find lots of hideous links back to the Vatican. Is what you can do.
No. Treaties. Remember, we're talking law. Hold on, we're talking where words have meaning. Because if you fuck up with these words, it's
no one in the Vatican has any connection or any to my birth certificate or to my driver's license. No one in the Vatican could say, "I want to see Buck Mulligan's birth certificate and get to see it." You seriously, grossly overestimated the power of the Vatican, and that's a power that's shrinking by the day too. I mean, where they can't even keep their own freaking sex scandals going on inside the Vatican secret anymore. Years ago, they were fit to cover up massive sexual abuse cases, and now they can't even keep stuff going on behind the walls of the Vatican.
Brother, I'm just going to have to get on board with the previous brother that was speaking. I'm going to have to stop talking about this now. I just wish you well.
These are the elite people.
But guys, seriously, all this nonsense you just bought into, absolute nonsense.
No, it's not nonsense.
Genuine nonsense. It is.
No,
brother.
It is.
Brother, I'll tell you.
Really
for you. Hold on. Here's some real personal. Here's some real personal reality check. So I refused to fill out a form for a birth certificate for my oldest son. Okay. And this went back and forth for a very long time. And one of the things I was pointing out was they use the word knabe, which is the old English for knave. And I say, who the fuck calls their son or daughter? Well, why? I'm not going to call him a knave. Have you looked up what that means? It's a legal word. It's in their system, in their language, and they're wanting me to sign a piece of paper calling my son a knave. So there was this huge problem. But anyway, I tried to figure out a good way of participating without going to prison. And I put a full commercial reservation of rights on my signature, not referring to the UCC, but using the wording of the UCC. It's very important. Do not use the UCC because that belongs to Unidroit, which belongs to the Vatican. This is all fact. You can go look it up. So, and this judge is hammering me. He's going to send me to prison if I do not relinquish my commercial reservation of rights on my signature. That's all I need to know, that all this stuff that you're saying is just way out there and it doesn't mean anything. You haven't been in the real world. I'm going to leave it right there.
I have been in the real world. I do fill out documents. I understand why this stuff has come about. All our legal precedent is just it's built, and there's nothing ever new. Everything's built on top of all the old stuff. So lots of old stuff seep through, and maybe older legal systems were based on, because the Vatican had so much power during a period when legal systems were being created, that bits and pieces of language from them just keep seeping through. And you'll see that in your own Declaration of Independence, where you'll see bits of old British talk and old British. You're just seeing seep through
through language and then just finding links. So there's this, and I can't remember the name for it, right? Where it's sort of human brains are actually set up for finding connections. We're constantly doing it, right? And so a large will
Connection, brother, is how can I be free? Wait, hold on. Before you go off in the la la land, how do I live without having to pay someone to live? Now, I don't mean like buying food. I don't mean like that. I mean just simply paying, like say there's land and I have to pay someone for that land because otherwise I don't have land. And without land, you can't live. Is that correct? Wait, let's just go back to logic.
Yeah,
if you can't control the land.
I mean, so we're getting to this sort of discussion about society and about...
No. We're not talking society. We're talking about Vatican control. I want you to focus on contracts and law. Don't go off and say society.
The Vatican doesn't have any control over you. The Vatican has very, very little control. This is genuine la. If you want to talk about the rights and wrongs and how much control government should have or should have any control at all or should be government, if you want to have that conversation, that's a sensible conversation.
These people are slow killing everybody. What do you mean they have no control over us? They are slow killing everybody.
No, they're not. It is this.
Okay.
It is
they're
this
not.
ancient.
They're not slow killing everybody.
Organization that has next.
I'm done,
no power
brother. If you don't see people dying around you, you don't have any cancer patients around you. No one in your family's died of cancer. You don't have any Alzheimer's. There's no dementia. There's none of this shit going on around you. Absolutely not. And since you're a science guy,
people are living longer than they've ever lived before.
Okay, Buck, you know it all.
Yeah. Okay.
People are literally living long. You can go down. What you can go down is you can go down to an old graveyard, count up how long everybody lived, take an average, and then
you can go back to what I just said. No. You're going into la la land. No one around you is
living longer. This is indisputable.
No one around you is dying of cancer. No one in your family. None of your friends. No one around you has Alzheimer's. No one has dementia. Nobody's got fibromyalgia. Everyone around you is perfectly healthy, right? Because this is all good.
Cancer is not. Everybody has to die eventually, and cancer is normal.
No. I didn't say die. No. I didn't say everybody has to. Where are you going with this? Can't you focus on what the fuck I just asked you? Pardon my French. I'm getting a little. Hold on. Hold on. I'm gonna take a moment here. Okay. You guys just keep going. I need to calm down a bit because what you just did times on a very simple question.
People get cancer.
Are people around you dying of cancer? Are people around you with dementia? Are people around you with Alzheimer's? Are people around you with fibromyalgia?
Yes.
And you find this to be perfectly normal.
Yes, because people die.
Why is your voice going so high?
People die. Wait, I don't understand. Why do you think that's all that people die?
Buck, I'm talking about the way that they're dying. You're looking at it from sort of a
generation ago.
I'm looking qualitative. A qualitative perspective. Buck. Qualitative isn't quantitative chemistry. Come on, quantitative ain't qualitative. Look at it.
Right. So let me tell you a story. Let me tell you about my grandfather. Right. So my grandfather had polio. His best friend died of influenza. My other grandfather's brother, at 5 years old, got a splinter in his hand, died from the infection. His other mother, I think, died in childbirth. There was stillborn babies. They were what were called at the time. They were called black babies, and their baby got a particular type of disease that's now just sort of been wiped out by whatever antibiotics or whatever. Yeah, people have always died of stuff.
You don't see any correlation at all with the
we're living longer.
The stats?
We're living longer.
All right, listen. You don't see any correlation with the statistics of the skyrocketing of cancer and different diseases.
So the reason it's skyrocketing. Like so do you know anybody who's died of polio? Do you know anybody who's died of polio?
Well, they're not spraying. Wait, hold on. I like how you're saying.
Answer me this one question. You can ask me again. But do you know anybody who's died of polio or smallpox or measles or got a splinter in the hand, died of the infection? Or do you know anybody who's died that way? In all likeliness.
Do you know anybody?
In all likeliness, no, you don't.
Do you know anybody?
Because what we've done is we've cured those diseases.
I'll answer your question.
People are getting
I will
older.
answer that question. Okay.
Go ahead.
I will answer your question.
Yes.
I don't know of anyone in my circles that have died of what you just said. Okay.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. But yeah. Okay. I'll give you that.
Smallpox been wiped out.
No, it hasn't because some of us are vaccinated, my brother. So anyway,
polio is in. It's the only places it's in is in Afghanistan and portions of and border areas of Pakistan, and that's because the Taliban are anti-vaxxers and don't let children get vaccinated. So that's why it's still there.
So let's go back to fantasy land. This is all great. There's no slavery. There's no control. It's all good on your end. Is what it sounds like. So here's what I'm asking you.
I'm not saying
you think? Okay. Well, your voice isn't got to go up. I'm not trying to be brother. I wish I could hug you right now. I really could. Like, just give you a big old hug and say, man, if you could just feel it. Okay, so if you could just look around you. If you could just look around.
Yeah, look around. Go ahead.
Okay. If you could just look around and ask yourself, is this normal? I mean, do you honestly believe that all of these cases around you, especially with new stuff stuff like, what the fuck is fibromyalgia? All these new labels. Do you honestly think that's normal? That this is okay? If we're as advanced as we are because of science, that's all good. Wait, the science is so great. This is the most wonderful thing ever. Thank you, science, God, science, whatever. And you know what? Sick. They're overweight. I mean, the shit in the food. It's all compounding. No. Okay, but what I'm saying is the way the system is set up, we're not looking at quality anymore. Now we got quantity because we need those factory workers, but we sure as hell don't have quality.
We do. I mean, like I've told you that my grandfather had polio. We no longer have polio. We are living longer. We are dying of less diseases. Yeah, that's quality.
All right, brother. We're just gonna have to agree to disagree. If you think that's quality.
No, right. If we are living longer and if we are dying from less diseases, I mean, like that is a definite improvement. We have more access to food, more access to information. I don't understand. The quality of life is improving. That's just the reality.
You just can't see it. You can't see it, can you?
But I can't see what. Because I can see that we are living longer.
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. Go ahead. Okay, let me ask you something. Let's switch gears on you. There are plenty of people trying their damnedest to get out of the system, grow their own food. Now you said there's plenty of food. We don't want to eat it because when you start looking at it, you're like, holy fuck, are these soft kill vectors? Well, of course they are. If you look into biological agents and you look at the whole, remember wartime mindset, you might not look at your food and say, hey, Tame, who's Donald Rumsfeld? What's this doing in my food? You see what I'm saying? You don't have the mindset that you're in. It's wartime, brother.
Do you know what I'm from? I'm from a science skepticism podcast, so we cover all sort of like the claims about GMOs and claims about aspartame and claims about all of this stuff. So GMOs are safe, aspartame doesn't cause cancer. So like
And I bet you were on board with the government when they said there's no such thing as Gulf War syndrome, right? You were on board with that for about 20 years until they came out and said, well, shit, there was something there.
How much is this dude being paid, bro? What are you getting paid?
No. All I am into rationalism. I'm into skepticism. I'm into science. That's it. I like conversation. I like argument. I don't have to be paid. I just like this stuff. But no, right. So as far as I'm aware, and this is just sort of on top of my head from what I remember, Gulf War syndrome probably wasn't a thing.
Say you like this stuff?
I'm just talking on my bowl here, and
Did you just say you like this stuff?
I like science. I like arguing about this sort of stuff. Yeah.
Oh no, man, we're done.
Why? Oh, baby, hush feelings. Baby feelings. Who's left?
It's an Oslo.
One down, come on. Come here, hillbilly.
It's an Oslo.
I'm here.
He likes arguing about stuff, but losing every fucking argument.
I like this discussion. What's wrong?
You like to lose. Okay, Mickey Mouse. Hey, Mickey Mouse.
Piggy
Hey.
here. Mom, bring in that piggy.
I like to lose every discussion I have, every argument.
I want to get off.
Hey, Minnie, want to go for a date later, Minnie? Oh.
What is that? Why are you running away? Are you scared of me again?
Come on, man. You're a retard. Shut the fuck up.
Are you scared?
You lost
Okay,
every argument
I'm not
in
scared.
here.
Whoa, stop. Wait,
It's okay to be scared. It's okay.
No, hold on. Let's go with this for a second. Okay.
Go ahead.
It is
Let's
okay.
Back into the conversation. Go ahead.
Right. It is okay. I had to take a moment. Didn't mean to call you an asshole. It doesn't matter what language it was.
Do you know what? I like these arguments. I like this conversation. I like this all. You can call me an asshole all you want. It's fine.
No. Listen. You don't understand what's happening. See, we're seeing people die. They're sick and they've got weird diagnoses. They don't know what's going on. They give them more drugs. They get worse.
Again,
I'm not coming from a place of I like to argue about this, and I spend my time online talking about, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Oh, because I don't have anything better to do. That's not why I'm here. But you just said you were here for that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are you going? I don't know what happened. Okay, so if you would just look up military conquest and you would prove your position that the Vatican is weak and powerless, I would love to come visit your channel. Just post into the chat wherever you are and show me how the Vatican does not have control over all this shit. Okay, please do that for me, brother. Because if you're into metabunk and you love arguing so much, I would love for you to show me how the Vatican has relinquished power in all facets of our life. Okay, because I'm going to show you the other side of it, and we can do this again.
Well, totally and completely anytime. But no, again, it doesn't have any power. It doesn't. It has bits and pieces of power here and there. And
this dude drinks Roundup, bro.
Yeah, but
he drinks fucking Roundup, dude. He said aspartame is good for you. He drinks fucking Roundup.
I didn't say that. I never said that. I said it's not. It doesn't cause cancer.
No, you said it's good, man. You said you love it.
I said
you love it.
I said it doesn't cause cancer. Is what I said.
Yeah, you be sucking on them aspartame fucking lollipop.
Okay.
Bum, bum, bum. Bring this in next door. Give me a wee second till I get my charger.
And yeah, fluoride. I bet you love fluoride in your water. Extra doses.
Thor.
No, listen. What's happening here is
Thorite in the water.
what's happening here is he's this is his free time. He's like playing chess, or this is like handball for him. He's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter to him one way or the other. He enjoys doing this. There's no consequence.
Dude,
Entirely for me.
he's fingering himself in his butthole right now because he's getting off on this shit.
I really wish you hadn't made me laugh with that.
I'm doing this because it's enjoyable.
You're
why I'm here.
Yeah, it's enjoyable to you.
Yeah.
But for the rest of the folks out here,
dude,
to think that you actually
he's
walk
sitting
in,
on a fucking. He's sitting on a pear-shaped dildo right now.
Part of this is good, because so this idea that the Vatican has all this power. The Vatican really doesn't have that much power. It has lots of power in the third world. It doesn't have any power in the developed world.
Oh my wee lad!
How many years? Wait, brother. How many years have you looked into it, brother? How many times have you tested it?
I understand
between your birth certificate, your citizenship, the corporation of which you're a citizen.
I understand the basics.
Privately owned and operated. Have you actually gone through from your birth certificate to find out who owns that fucking piece of paper? That's all I want to know. Do you know who owns that birth certificate?
What does it matter?
Daddy started brainwashing me when I was a wee lad.
The thing is, right? So
what does it matter? What does it matter?
Yeah, right. So,
because the point here,
because what you're finding is link. What you're trying to find is these sort of tedious links and going, this matters.
Okay, here's what I want you to do. Yeah, look, you're a bright guy. I'll give you that. You're a bright guy. You're not skeptic. You're very good at and whatever the hell it is you do, and you seem to enjoy it.
There are no such thing as skeptics. There are no skeptics.
I would love for you. I would love for you to find who. Listen. I would love for you to find who owns your birth certificate, and then when you find who owns it, find out who owns that. When you find out who owns that, find out who owns that, and you will find that what I've been saying this whole time is true.
I want to find who indoctrinated this motherfucker.
Who owns my birth certificate? Bum. Give me a second. I'm looking up to see what in the UK they provide information. Who legally owns? Thank you. Information. Freedom of information. Thank you.
Oh, you ain't gotta do it right now, brother. This is something you can do on your dime, not mine.
The original birth certificate that is issued is the official owner. So according to UK law, the owner, the person who's
he's on his argument break. He's on his argument vacation. What? Let him look it up. He's on his argument vacation.
Big man. See your her. That don't help anybody. That's not helping you. It's just sort of dumb.
But yeah, funny.
In the UK by law, the name on the birth certificate, the owner is the owner of the birth certificate.
Oh, so that means you or your mom or someone made the birth certificate?
My name is on my birth certificate, so I own the birth certificate.
Yeah, no, it's not your name, brother. You don't even know what a legal person is. That certificate was issued to you.
You're going into this sort of like la la land here now. Like this is
words.
Wait. That's my name. That's who I am.
Dude, we are eating red pills like we are snorting red pills. You're the one in La La Land, bro.
See this whole idea of red pill. That's so childish. It is so
no.
If you want to talk about red pills, go watch them. Go watch Silly Children. You said, brother, you said you own that birth certificate? Brother, did you say you own that birth certificate? I'd like you to burn it. I am the owner. I want you to burn it.
I need you to burn it, and I need you to burn it all your documentation, and then try and live in society, and they'll quickly tell you, well, you don't have your papers, and then you're going to find out who actually owns it because they're going to issue another one, and then you'll find out who your master is. But no, that's just a facade. You got to find out who owns them. You see, it's layered, brother.
Okay, no, you're describing a society. Okay, right. So I'm given a birth certificate. It's my.
You use the word society.
If I want to,
too goddamn much. I'm talking about fucking more, brother.
If I want to get a
you use the word
society. If I want to get a passport, I need that.
No.
I need
Listen,
that certificate.
You throw the word society around so casually. The word society. This is wartime, brother. And if you can't see that it's wartime,
we are not
I can't help you.
We're not in wartime.
Where the fuck is the goddamn peace treaty?
Again, these peace treaties. No. Again, right. These things don't matter that much. We are not in wartime. Very clearly, we're not in.
You were just so casually saying it doesn't matter so much, but you didn't disprove what I just said. I'm saying we're in wartime.
Again,
here's a fact. Here's a fact, brother. Here's a fact. And since you're really good at doing this, I want you to prove me wrong. Here's a fact, brother. The world has been at war since the ceasefire of World War II. You see if you can disprove that fact. And if you want to go into the United States, you'll find out there's been martial law in the United States since the ceasefire of the Civil War. Those are two facts facts that you can look up for yourself. Please prove me wrong.
Okay, listen, so America signed a peace treaty with Germany and it signed a peace treaty with Japan. Yeah?
Are you talking about the 2+4 contract? Are you serious?
Again,
Are you fucking kidding me? Are you being serious?
This dude is like,
No. I want to know
this
if you're
dude
just
is
fucking around with me just now.
Mike Tyson punch out.
Shit about
Mike
Google and
Tyson,
reading the
you
first
can't talk about.
Calm down.
Are you seriously on Google and you read the first fucking link? Is that what you just did?
Well, I know I haven't read any links. I'm aware that these peace treaties were signed. This is what I'm saying. But again, right? No.
Okay.
This
just because I spent a better part of my time in Germany doesn't mean
you're so fucking far down this.
But here's what's going on: 2+4 contract. Listen, you're missing the whole point here. The 2+4 contract was the provisional government set up by the Allies signed a fucking contract with the people who set up the Allies. The German people have nothing to say. Look into it, brother.
He was smoking chemtrails for breakfast.
Smoking.
Randy.
Oh my god, you're genuine. I'm happy enough to have a conversation with the honest guy, but the other guy is so goddamn dumb it is painful. Okay, right. So we're.
Hey, look. I apologize repeatedly.
What you're doing is just look. What you're trying to do is just find these sort of links and connect up all these sort of odd theories. Right. So this initial claim that the Vatican owns everything. What does that mean? What are the Vatican doing? What power do they have? I can see that the Vatican tried to prevent gay marriage from coming through in Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland.
What are you talking about gay marriage, brother? I told you stop paying your fucking taxes and see what happens to you. The war will be on your doorstep. The war will come to your door if you stop participating.
Again, right? But the reason that would happen is because we have created this thing that I don't know why you get so annoyed at this word, but we have created this thing called a society.
I agree. We created this thing, yes. And it's not we created it. We're just in it, and we figured out. There's something fucking wrong here. There's something so fucking goddamn wrong here that it leads to high heaven.
It has been around since before any of us were born, right? Social contract, right? So yeah, so these systems are all like really, really fucking old, and lots of terms and lots of connections and stuff have been grandfathered through in with other systems. But again, right? But let's go to your thing about the Vatican. What is the Vatican doing?
Stop paying. Yeah, the Vatican, right? I'm talking about the Vatican, brother. Stop fucking paying. Stop fucking paying, brother. You will see real quick. The Vatican's agents will be at your fucking door, and they will take your ass to jail, brother. I don't understand why you can't understand this. Why can't you understand a simple concept? America will come to your.
Listen, when he stops paying his taxes, the Vatican's charity will come along with
that has nothing to do with the Vatican. If I do not pay my taxes, I will be arrested. But what has that got to do with the Vatican?
I just told you. Read your treaties. Look at your birth certificate. Follow it back. It's black and white.
What does the Vatican get out of this? What does the Vatican get out of this?
It's black and white, man. It's called control. The reason you have war is for resources, but the most valuable fucking resource, Buck, on the planet is people. People are the most valuable resource, so you capture them. You destroy their ideologies. You destroy their heritage. You destroy their language.
I don't understand whose heritage has been destroyed. What are you talking about?
Yours.
You keep making these big.
Mine. Everyone in this chat.
Wait, how's my heritage been? What exactly has been destroyed about my heritage?
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Tell me where you're from. Just like the fucking Blue Bloods, man. You can go all the way back, can't you?
No, I'm not fucking blue, but no, I'm like Irish Catholic. Like we were the fucking bottom of the heap.
No, I'm just saying. Wait, how is it okay? Well, the Blue Bloods can go all the way back, and how come we can't? Were we just too stupid to write it down, or did we get fucked over royally for a very long time?
Again, we didn't learn to I say it's probably only like fucking 5 generations ago that the majority of people on this island fucking write.
Hey, Jamie, you couldn't beat this horse half to death and shoot him up with a red pill.
Shoot him up with a horse. The reason that the Blue Bloods can get all their connections, get all back because they owned libraries, they had papers, they were taught to read and write. And if you want to talk about,
how they own all that shit? Where'd they get that shit from, my brother? They got it from our sweat equity, our sweat labor. They own us. Are you this fucking dense? I don't mean to insult you, brother, but I'm starting to think you're being You're being intentionally.
What is that? Okay,
you are being intentionally obtuse on this point, my friend. You are being intentionally obtuse.
Okay, no. If you want to have this conversation,
dude, he's trolling the fuck out of us, or he's fucking just the most closed-minded person I've ever seen in my life.
I'm not being closed-minded, but there's a whole sort of like saying us connect. Okay, right. So, So the history of Ireland, people landed here, whatever many thousands upon thousands of years ago. People landed here. They started started small societies, right? So you'd have your small little group of people, your small tribe. You would, and then suddenly, when there used to be like lots of land, and so if you didn't like the people you're with, you'd move out and you'd find somewhere else and you'd start up your own tribe, start up your own
Bob tapped
society.
out.
So then what would happen is these tribes, they started to have like sort of more settled societies, and then they would start bumping into each other and they would want each other's land. So suddenly you needed to have a bit of army so you could fight off these other people. And so you'd want to, like, you had an even bigger army. What you could do is you could then steal their land. And so what happened over a period of time, you ended up with high kings. So like Ireland was covered with 4 high kings. Ireland were divided up into 4: Ulster, Munster, Leinster and Connaught. Those 4 kings sort of controlled everything because they had the biggest armies. They had deals and arrangements amongst each other because they were in charge, they were in the power.
Hold on,
So
can
they
I
wanted to protect the status
slow you
quo.
down
I
a
need to
little
talk
bit?
to Jamie. Jamie, the chat's leaving. They don't want to hear Buck anymore. They're taking
All right.
over.
Well, yeah.
Oh, triggered.
Yeah, they kind of.
So
I want to.
I've just described to you how
I just
this
wanted
happens,
no.
and then
I wanted. You were
describing
describing how society happened, but the very first sentence you said was people just appeared. People just appeared.
People appeared in Ireland. Yeah, people landed. People landed over from. So they landed over from mainland Europe, landed over from England, and started like populating Ireland.
Tell me how they appeared on Earth. How do people appear on Earth?
Well, they evolved.
Can you tell me?
That's how they evolved.
Okay, can you explain it just real quick?
How evolution will happen?
Explain it real quick.
I love your voice, brother. It's a tell. If you ever played poker with me, I'd take your fucking pants off. Go ahead.
I don't even know what that means. Again, I genuinely here, right, and I'm being hateful and I'm in a dick here, but I'm sure you are all like real nice people. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'm sure you are real good people. And I have no doubts in my mind about that. But so how evolution happens. So there's life and pressures go on to that. Then natural selection takes place. Certain animals, simple life forms will randomly mutate certain traits because of natural selection. Some traits will be selected and some traits will die off. Given an enormous amount of time, you're left with more complex life. Natural selection keeps happening until you have like actual like insects and slugs and fish. Those fish slowly moved out of the water. We have examples of that still alive today. Check a Mudscape. Over periods of time, you had amphibians, and then you had lizards and birds and dinosaurs, and then mammals. And then from those mammals, we are left with great ape, not chimpanzees, sorry, but hominid. And that hominid group broke off into lots of other groups. And one of those particular groups that broke off and turned into the chimpanzees and the great apes and Homo sapien, us.
Okay, all right. Now, you guys ready for the fatality right here?
What's the fatality rate?
The fatality is this. Everything you just said came from the Big Bang Theory, and you're fucking wrong.
But again, you're mixing up, but you're getting scientific theory. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah,
back where we started.
Yeah, it's a scientific theory.
Yeah, it's a theory. Back where we started.
It's a scientific
and
theory.
You lost again. And you lost again.
No, you don't just get to say, I heard it was a theory and I won. So no, it's not. It's a scientific theory. So do you understand the idea of the Big Bang, what it is, or what scientists say, or how they came up with this idea?
Oh yeah, there were scientists back then that observed all this stuff happening.
No. Do you know what they did observe? So what you can look up and what you can see. Do you know how they came up with this idea that the universe...
macro evolution?
No. Micro. Okay, right. So see all our... Right, so we can now have telescopes. We can look at Hubble and we can see that. And what someone noticed was that... Oh, Hubble noticed. Not Hubble. Who was the... Oh, balls, I've forgotten. Mm-hmm. But they noticed that the galaxy...
They noticed, huh? And then they told you, and you believed it.
Ian, right. Listen.
Yeah.
The galaxies were moving away from one another.
That's what they told you, and you believed it.
The galaxies were moving away from one another.
Who were they? Who were they?
Check this.
NASA?
Einstein. Albert Einstein. There's a name for you.
Never a straight answer told you?
Albert Einstein. I'll give you a name. There's a name.
Albert Einstein, who tried to Albert Einstein, who put ether in to get get his little Michael Morrisley experiment done to prove that we live on a spinning ball.
Earth?
That line, Einstein.
Righto. So,
Okay.
right, so I know this was the
88 in the
galaxy.
chat. I just want to put this out there. Tay in the chat asked, have you ever observed an animal change into another one? You personally.
Well, no,
and keep in
because
mind, I want you to use the criteria that you use, that you know you're born of your parents, and you know this for a fact. You weren't there at birth, but you see photos and somebody showed you a birth certificate and you believe what your parents told you.
Yeah, exactly.
You call that knowledge.
Exactly.
That's it. To me,
I've seen evidence. That's it.
What you're doing
I've
is
seen
you're
evidence.
trusting in those before you.
No. I've
wait.
seen evidence. Yeah, I've seen evidence, and I can trust that evidence. Yeah,
You've seen a dinosaur skull?
I've seen a dinosaur skull. Yeah.
No. I'm not talking about some fucking no. I mean like a real dinosaur skull.
Yeah, I've seen a
Because
real
if you
dinosaur
have, post
skull.
the link in the chat for all of us. No, I'm not talking about that shit in the museums made out of China. Not that shit. Post the link in the chat where we can find a real dinosaur.
I've been in like the back areas of museums and actually seen the stuff that they make the casts out of. So yeah, I've seen an actual real life dinosaur skull.
Yeah, post the link in the chat. I'm sure they publish that shit online.
And I'm
But,
Santa Claus.
right, no, but so you're saying this whole idea of not seeing one animal turn into another animal. No, I've never seen that. It would be impossible for anybody to see that, because these changes happen over massive amounts of time. So say you, so it's like you are not identical. Okay, so you share your parents' genetics. You're not identical to your parents. You're slightly, ever so slightly different, right? So given an enormous amount of time, if we like say you and your sister, if your sister went off and lived in Africa and you stayed and moved you off into Antarctica, somewhere really cold, and then we left it for 10,000 years or something, your relatives would your descendants would look very different from your sister's descendants. So your sister's descendants would most likely have much darker skin because of having to deal with melanin.
You're telling us a story. We've heard these stories. What we're saying is they're stories, and you're saying you believe the stories. And I'm asking you why you believe the stories. I told you don't know anything. I can prove to you that you don't know anything. You don't know anything.
I've seen evidence.
I can prove that. Wait. I'm going to show you proof. Now, you told me you know you came from your parent, right? And what the evidence you used was they told me
as much as I can.
No, so you believe your parents, you believe in the birth certificate, and you believe in the people around you. And so you're operating from a principle of, belief.
Again, right, but it's sort of a disingenuous way to say it. Like if I said, okay, so this sort of fairly.
He really hates that word belief.
Evidence I have is a different type of belief than saying
does hate the word belief.
There's a Loch Ness monster in Loch Ness. That's a different. So if you just use the word belief, it's obviously very, very different from saying I believe there's a Loch Ness monster to I believe my parents.
Let me. I want to just get a feel for you, brothers. Anybody, some stranger just told you that they loved you, just come up and say, "Man, I love you," because I love you, man. You know why? Because I don't remember the last time I got this wrapped up about something like this. So there must be something about you that I really would like to get to know you better.
I like you too.
I love you, man. I just really wish.
See when you call me brother. See when you call me brother. I fucking love that. I'm not gonna bullshit you. I like you. I like you a lot. We're very different people, but I fucking like you a lot. I'm not gonna bullshit you.
I would love to sit down and drink a beer with you. We could hash it out all night. We could throw darts and talk about the physics of how the dart hits the board. I really wish that we could just find some point that we could agree on. Some little something.
Something. What? Okay, right. I think people are pretty good most of the time. Would you agree with that?
I believe that most people, if left to their own devices, would learn to love each other again.
I think if we had, I think that, I think we are currently in a period of like genuine depression, and this is. I think we're wiping out diseases. We have all this food, and yet the biggest killer of like young men is suicide. So very, very clearly there's a problem, right? Now me and you are probably going to disagree on what that problem is, and I think a large part of that problem is that we are so cut off in our own wee fucking worlds, and we can sit all day and watch Netflix, and we can sit totally by ourselves and not get involved in other people, and we don't have community the way we used to have community, and we don't need other people the way we used to need other people, and I think that's fucking killing us.
Yeah.
Hey, we're on the same page, brother. Hey, you know what you just said?
I agree.
That's a good. Yeah. That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome.
And guess what? There's actually history that backs that up in declassified CIA documents. When the TV was first invented, all right, they wanted to get them in as many houses as possible to do that thing, because before TV, people would gather in their towns and talk and spread news and information, and as soon as TV came into the life anymore, you just would see the flickers from their houses, and no one will be outside. No, the community will be gone.
I was in Romania at the weekend, right? And I was walking down to the streets, and like at 1 o'clock at night, people were sitting outside their houses, drinking beers and playing chess. And I was like, that is class. Look at that there. I mean, like, most of these houses like can't afford like a nice television. They can't afford anything because it's a real fucking poor country. But they're sitting out there with one another, and it's like, this is so much fucking nicer than a Netflix subscription. Fuck's sake, we have lost this. But I think the Netflix and the television, this is so easy and it's so nice. It's so warm, and you don't have to walk outside. And I think that's just that laziness on our part as well. So we're killing us.
But I mean, do you think that was just a coincidence, or do you think that you don't think at all that they had like you don't believe in any type of social engineering?
No, what I can see happen is like, so a couple of generations ago, my grandfather was dependent on his neighbour to plough the field, to come to when they're sowing the seeds. He needed him there when they didn't have a television, so my granda would have went up to his house and they would have sat and they would have drank and they would have cracked, and they would have had other people coming around. My other granda was a storyteller. People would have come from all around to hear him tell stories and tell yarns and stuff like that there, right? And people done that because they didn't have a television. People done that because they couldn't afford to buy a tractor of their own. And then suddenly, we're able to have whatever we want. And now that we have whatever we want, we can be as happy as we can be. And we're sold this idea that if you just have this extra thing, if you just have this one more thing, if you just buy this other thing, if you can have this a bit faster, you're going to be happy. And it's bullshit. It's this whole idea that you can buy contentment, buy peace, and buy happiness is absolute another bullshit.
It's a form
and I
of...
think we've just been sold it. I don't think there's any master plan or anything control over it.
There is a form of
naturally.
It's a form of control that they use.
It is a form of control in a way.
Yes.
Okay, well that's a good start right there. It is a form of control in a way, and just let's build on that. I mean, it seems like that's a good starting point. It is a form of control. To say that means someone's controlling.
Well, not necessarily. Not someone. I see this as a.
Well, I mean, if you want to say society,
I think it's a natural thing that basically there are advertisers who want you to buy their shit, and so what they're going to do is look for all these things that you sort of want, and so you want like sweet food, you want high fatty sweet food, you want a car that's going to be the a symbol of status that people are going to look at you and go, that guy is rich and that guy is powerful, and so they want a watch that's going to impress people, and advertisers know on some sort of level this is what we want, so they find that and they target that at you.
Yeah,
and they just want to sell
like
shit.
the old saying, like the cliche saying, sex sells.
Yeah, totally and completely. I mean, you take the idea. Look at the billboards. An absolutely gorgeous woman, a fella with his perfect six pack. They have taken these like raw sexual images, right? They're sort of like ingrained in our brain, and they've went, this is what you want, this is what you need, and you'll be happy.
And there are think tanks in advertising, and they do tests on people. They calculate all this stuff to find out how to make more money, in a way, and then how to control people to buy their things. So
do you want to hear the creepiest one I ever heard? See the guys who do the roulette machine? The one-armed bandits where you pull the armor and the 3 cherries pop up.
Yeah.
Those sort of machines. They wired people up to find out what was the perfect way to get people addicted to it. And what they found was that, see, if you get like 2 cherries and a pineapple, and the cherries just in sight, that gets you really excited and gets the endorphins going. And so what they do is they give you like 3 of those in a row, give you a win, give you a nearly win, give you 3 loses. So they know the perfect way to get you.
Yeah, there's books out there on that, how casinos put down the perfect flicker rates and they make you want to gamble more and everything. I mean, that's what I mean. Like these, you want to think that everything happens for a coincidence, but there's actually evil, bad people out there that are elite people that want to control and enslave us and profit off of us. And
I think this is all just, I don't even think it's evil or bad people. I think this is like natural human processes, like where we want to control other people, and unless we like are aware of our normal natural desires. So I'll tell you one of the scariest stories that I ever heard. And I was listening to the radio, and they started reading out this letter, and it was a letter from a man writing back to his wife, asking how his children were, asking how his mother was, asking about Christmas presents. Told the wife that about work, that the men were doing really well, that a shipment came in, a consignment came in that they weren't expecting, and they processed all the units without cleaning, and walked on, love you so much. And it sounds like a really just sort of like boring letter, your guy's out in a lumber mill or something like that. The letter came from Auschwitz. So this guy, we processed the unit, they're fucking putting Jews in ovens. So this is just like this guy who loves his wife, loves his children, and is doing the most horrific, terrifying thing that you fucking imagine. And I think this is like, I think there's a desire for us to go, oh well, these are the evil people. I think people get caught in systems and just go with the flow. It's easier for me if I just go with this. It's easier for me if I just do this. Easier for me. You see, like, you think, oh, how could anyone actually do this?
Okay, so
not to do that.
All right, so then basically, all right, if I take your stance on things, you basically don't believe in conspiracies.
No, I believe in conspiracies. Oh, totally and completely. Conspiracies happen, surely, but I don't think they're as big as you think they are, and I don't think they're as often. I don't think they're as well trolled. I do think there are bad people. I do think there are people who genuinely are like psychopathic. I think Stephen Hawking says, he goes, if government's hiding aliens from us, they're doing it better than they do anything else. So it's like government is so bad at like keeping secrets from us and just sorting out normal stuff, like why they would be suddenly fit to.
Yeah. Okay. Well. All right. Well, look. If you believe in conspiracies, then it wouldn't be so outlandish for you to believe that if there's conspiracies, then the type of devious conspiracies they would use, such as the ones that can change a whole nation in an instant, such as a school shooting that stripped England of all of its guns off one school shooting, and then in Australia, one school shooting stripped the whole country.
No, in Australia, okay. there were dozens of.
I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. That's one example, but I'm just saying. And the Reichstag fire. Okay, that was proven that was to they set their own stuff on fire to blame it on another person. That's a false flag. That's what that's called. Okay, that's a conspiracy to enact a war. The Gulf of Tonkin, things like that have happened. 9/11. All right, that's what happened after 9/11. We went after all of Israel's enemies after 9/11.
But it's okay. Like, so I can reply to all of those. So the Australian school shooting, that wasn't one school shooting. It was dozens of school shooting. It was a dozen school shootings. There were a lot of school shootings that led up to that actually happening. The England one, you have to think, right? So England never had the same like love of guns as America had. So there never was that sort of like culture of guns for when they got rid of it. And plus that school shooting was massive. Also, England had the problem of the IRA, obviously. So they didn't want them getting guns, and then the IRA ended up just using bombs instead and got their guns in from Libya and Palestine.
Okay, so do you think conspiracies, the false flag conspiracies, can happen to
so we'll talk about the Gulf of Tonkin. We'll talk about the Gulf of Tonkin, right? So what happened there was a report came back where they said a submarine, Vietnamese submarine, attacked their boat. And then they said, so it was this sort of like mix up of information when it really wasn't. They didn't see anything. Someone just reported it because they were meant to report it. And the reality was America just wanted to invade Vietnam. They were looking for any reason, and there's a reason. Let's do it.
There you go. Okay. I mean, so you do have some wiggle room in there.
Totally and completely. Conspiracies happen. Like, so that there, right? So if America were able to invade Vietnam based on, we thought we seen a submarine, right? Why would they then need to do a 9/11 to invade Iraq? So it's like when they could just say, when America didn't need it. America didn't need 9/11 to invade Iraq. America's invaded Iraq before. So it's like saying, you you don't need that.
Well, they invaded Iraq before, and this
Yeah.
is proven on false pretenses that Saddam Hussein was in there killing babies in incubators, and this is proven and backed up also.
Yeah, it was. Well, the reason that they invaded Iraq was because Saddam was invading Kuwait because he wanted to have control of all the oil in the region. Plus, Saddam had stopped. Very famously, Saddam used to be the American golden boy. So Saddam was put into power so that Iraq would,
Okay,
keep everything in control and control
then
Iran as well.
Okay, so then you agree with world powers doing covert regime changes in other countries?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's what that isn't so you take the toppling of a democratically elected government in Iran. I mean, like this is.
But you have to ask yourself why. Ultimately, why is this country performing a false flag? What's their end goal? You have to ask yourself why and figure that out.
Again, right? What I'll try to do is I will take each of those claims and I will. So 9/11, I'll look at the evidence and go, all right, well, all the officials' claims, they make sense, and the claims of, like, say, loose change don't make sense. We can look at the claims from Tonkin and do the exact same thing. We can look at the claims from why America invaded Iraq. See, okay, well, they clearly didn't have weapons of mass destruction. No one seemed to actually believe they had weapons of mass destruction. This clearly wasn't the reason that the country was invaded. The idea that America invaded Iraq to control its natural resources, that's a conspiracy. And the idea that September 11th was an inside job is also a conspiracy, right? There is evidence to support one and no evidence to support the other. So this
is why Anonymous Guest was asking you to look into currency and the Federal Reserve System and look into what happened to Gaddafi in Libya.
Yeah.
Whenever he tried to start printing his own backed money backed by gold. Okay, there's reasons that these regime changes happen, and it's because these leaders are puppets for their controllers. You see, and if they get out of line like Gaddafi did and think that they want to be their own boss and start making their own moves, they get taken out like that. That's what happens.
That will be. Oh yeah, it's, again, right. I have absolutely no doubt about that sort of claim that someone who is annoying. So if Gaddafi was annoying oil billionaires, he was annoying other leaders in that region. He was pissing off America. He pissing off Britain. He was obviously supporting the IRA. He was doing all these things, and then suddenly he's made himself lots and lots of very powerful enemies.
And see, the nations you named are the powerful nations that control wherever we live. That's what Anonymous Guest was trying to tell you, and follow the money. And it seems like you made a little bit of leeway, but
powerful countries will abuse that power. Like, I mean, like, I don't think my statement is all of this stuff is very much out in the open. Very little of it is hidden away. Very little of it's secret. Most of what's going on in the world can be seen, right? And can be worked out.
I understand that, and but for you to know all these different things that we just talked about the covertness and shadiness of governments and stuff, and to just go out there and believe every single thing they're telling you about space and everything. To not even have an open mind about it, because when you told me gravity is a fact, you lied to me. That's not, and you have to know you did, but you don't seem to get that you did.
No, okay, right. So there is government, and then there is science, right? So,
but the government
isn't telling me. Not really. You take it.
They do. Okay, listen. This is why they do. Okay, if you're a scientist and you go against the grain, say you go against global
scientists are always
warming.
Against the grain.
Okay, say you go against global warming, which there's I believe there's 6,900 scientists with PhDs right now that are against it, but they're still pushing it. Okay, they're pushing it, and if you go against that, you're going to be frowned upon, and you're not going to get the grants you want from your government. You're not going to get, you know what I mean? So that's That's why.
Okay,
That's why I say science and
we'll
government
talk about.
goes
Well,
hand in
do you
hand.
want to talk about the history of global warming? Let's talk about just you know who Galileo is, yeah?
Of course.
Galileo. So good they named him twice. He was one of the first people to suggest that
I said I
the
don't
Earth.
give a fuck if you selling. I said I don't give a fuck if you selling yayo. When I punch you, I'll make you see stars like Galileo.
Beautiful. You're a poet, an absolute poet. So, the Earth. He was one of the first people to suggest that the Earth revolved around the sun. He was one of the first people to ever suggest this, and he came out and here's my evidence. And what happened was, the powers that
and he
be,
was
the
locked
Vatican,
up.
the Vatican tried to lock him up because what he was saying was that the authorities, the powers that be, were wrong. And so this took years and years before people in position of power would accept this. So what science is constantly and always trying to do is just say, okay, so you have people in positions of power, the politicians, the kings, the rulers. They're saying this is how the world is. This is the status quo. This is facts. This is reality. And science is always coming across and saying, well, actually, no, I found new evidence. You're wrong. And because they say these things, they end up
And that's why.
for it.
And that's why I say science and state are like science and state are together, government and religion separate, and they want the church and state separate. So but the science and state is okay to be together. But that's my opinion.
So we'll talk about separating church state in America. Like that was for America to exist, that was a necessity. America would not be a country today if church and state were not kept separate, because there were so many different religions within America, and they were all coming together to try to write this constitution and try to write this idea and say this is what America is going to be. And then of course you had, like, at the very top, you had these deists like Jefferson and Washington who didn't believe in an intervening God. So
I mean, yeah, nothing.
Yeah, wait,
Jefferson
hold on a
was-
second. You're going from Jefferson to today, and that's you're way off base here. Are you familiar with rules of grammar, or is that like with the words in the dictionary, they just don't mean anything? Does grammar mean something to you?
No, again, what do you? No, I'm saying that Jefferson, religion had to be kept separate.
Here's what happened. See, 55 guys said, "Hey, you know what? We're done with this shit. These truths are self-evident. It's not like me and you debating about what reality is. These 55 guys knew the deal,
there was
right?
a fight. There were like different drafts of this over and over again. The truths weren't self-evident. These men had to fight to get the things that they wanted in there. Originally, in Jefferson's original draft,
For themselves.
Yes,
for themselves.
In Jefferson's original draft, he had what was it again? It was he left out God and had reason. So what's the line in it? It says that God, that we hold this, that's saying that freedom, or I can't remember the particular line, but it's a very important one within it, and it's saying that's a creator. It uses the term creator. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's all fine and good. I always go back just to the legal definitions of what words mean, because these are the people with the guns. They come at you with a legal definition out of a legal dictionary with people with guns. I try and keep it as real as I can, okay? So What I'm asking you is, did those 55 guys, when they signed off on that, were they talking about everybody, or did they form their own society? Are you aware?
No, when they were writing that, they were talking about white English Protestant men, landowning Protestant men.
No. Okay, so you're saying, okay, this is something you can look into just for your own edification. Those 55 guys signed a society for themselves and their posterity. And if you use the law of capitalism, you'll see that those words are capitalized within the document, meaning they're talking about themselves. We're not talking about everybody that was a British colonist at the time. You see?
No, they were talking about
just those
white landowning Protestant men.
No.
They weren't talking.
No. They were talking about 55 people is what I'm talking about. If you are we misunderstanding each other here? Those guys were talking about themselves and their posterity.
I guess what? There's 55 people watching right now. What a coincidence!
It's not a coincidence. They're here.
And we can do it all over again using over again. Was that a rib? That's really funny. The UN has a little charter in there that says something about the right to self-determination. So that's where this is going. As soon as we get enough people on board to realize how bad this all is, to disagree, but we don't want to have anything to do with it, that's the way out of it. Unless, of course, it goes to rebellion, which is going to be bloody and awful.
My issue, right? See, with this idea that we all can be, because I think there's this constant struggle between the individual and I know you don't like this word, but it's a thing that exists is society, right? And there is this struggle between what's good for the individual and what's good for society. And so these things are always going to be sort of like fighting each other and rubbing up against one another. So you could say that if you need to like get rid of the waste from your home, you need to get rid of the your toilet, the content of your toilet, and you want to dump it into the river behind your house. That's what's good for you as an individual. It's not so good for everybody who's downstream of that. So this is when the society thing is coming, because it's not just your river. Maybe that bit behind you is your river, but the rest of it belongs to everybody else. That that this society exists, whether people want to believe it.
But
or
a society has to be codified. In other words, we have to agree to disagree.
Again, and that's the major issue, is that we can't. Like, I mean, like if you were, it's these things are only ever held together by the barrel of the gun. So it's or a sword or a big stick. So it's like, so all we can really do is try to make the system as good for everyone as possible. So the further we go back in time, the system is a king at top, and then his people below him who are slightly less powerful, and then those people below them are slightly less powerful, until you get to fucking plebs at the bottom who have no fucking control, no power, no nothing, and they're doing everything.
Okay,
they're the ones.
Let's go with that. I'm glad that you see that. Okay, so we see the same thing. All right, so what we're doing here is, it's not so much about the geography that the Earth is flat. Just said, how do we get rid of that? What do we need to do, all of us together, to get rid of that?
Okay, right. So clearly we're moving in a better direction, because you have the individual in the Western world has more power and more control and more say over their destiny than they did 100 years ago. So democracy is, I would argue, is definitely a step in the right direction. Now, how do we make that better? How do we have more personal freedom? How do we have more, say, and how do we have like outer powers having less control over us? I mean, these are interesting questions, and I don't think there's any one big answer. I think it's going to be lots and lots of small answers.
Well, brother, we can get on board together with that. I would love to take that energy you've got and all of the debate, and that you enjoy this, and let's work together on figuring out how to do exactly that.
You're on Twitter?
No, I don't do Twitter. I've only had internet for 6 months. I'm one of those guys that moved off grid and had no connections whatsoever. So I'm relatively new here.
Okay, right. There's a part of me would fucking love to do that. Genuinely would fucking love to do that. There is this part of me that's, Jesus, I would just love not to just have to deal with all this shit anymore.
Right. That's exactly right.
I hear about people moving off grid. I think that sounds fucking immediate. What are you, solar panels, or what are you, like, how you like run everything? Or
we had solar panels, and that worked, and we had a passive water pressure. We took some runoff from the neighboring lake and ran that down. We had an elevation drop, so we had passive water pressure, solar panels. It's doable. It's completely doable.
Fucking magic. Leave your email. Oh, fuck, where do you get? What's your email address? Or do you want to send it? My email address is that.
I got it. I'm gonna post it.
If you got it there,
post it in the.
Can you leave your email in the chat? So I want to.
There you go. Yep, I'm in there. You got it, so I can remove it.
Give me a second till I find it. Anonymous. Bum bum bum. No, I've got no email in it.
I just posted it in the chat.
Oh, I'm on the YouTube chat. Give me a second. I probably don't even want to fucking look in these chat. I don't even probably want to see what they're saying about me here. It's that you by there we go. Buy less, trade more.
There you go.
Bum bum bum. DYLESSTRADEMORE at gmail.com. I'll send you an email later on. That COM. No, right, because that is. Okay, that sort of idea of oh my god, like, no, there were periods where I was like, I just want to go live in the forest right now.
Yeah, exactly, and I did. I said, I'm done. Yeah, I was in Stuttgart in Germany, and I left Germany. There's just a lot of things that were not right. Kind of this broad umbrella of just don't want to deal with the shit. And we moved over here and set up a homestead. And then our children were getting older and realized that the little 20 acres wasn't like big enough. So the question was, where are the other also learning how to grow their own food and play about and homeschooling and all of that. One more, Germany doesn't allow homeschooling, so you have to send your children to school. You can't do it yourself.
Where about you living now? I take it you're obviously American.
Asheville, North Carolina.
My ex-girlfriend now lived in South Carolina.
But before you go flying to different countries and different places, I'm going to send you a link in the chat, and there are communities that are everywhere. And if you go check them out, you'll find out that there are a lot of people doing it. And what's even better, those are the only ones that are advertising. Once you get into the area, you'll see 10 times as many that aren't advertising. More people saying, you know what, we're kind of tired of whatever this is. Now, without the conspiracy, they're just tired of it, and they're withdrawing from the system.
It's Happy Valley in Wales is just this community, and I was up in it, and it is in the middle of fucking nowhere, and it is just that. It is just 300 people when I was up there, but you know, it stays in around 300 people, and people come in and leave, and they just keep buying up land in the area and buying land of the farmers, and just keep making the whole area just sort of bigger and bigger, and then just setting up extra wee camps in different places, and just sort of like growing their own stuff, selling bits and pieces here and there, and then using that to buy food. So it is just, and then of course there's solar panels and cleaning their own water and all. So it is certainly an interest, because I also do like cities though, but there's a certain have you ever read Walden?
Yes, a long time ago.
Of fucking course you have. I mean, like, there's no chance you hadn't read Walden. I don't know. I read that and it's like, I want to do this someday. I want to just go out into the forest, work.
Well, hold on a second. We have. I want to address someone in the chat. Shizo Quibbit, anonymous, running from the problem doesn't solve it. Participating in the problem doesn't solve it.
But what's the problem? I mean, like, horses. I don't know. It's a complicated, difficult question about.
Well, I mean, one of the main thrusts was you should be able to raise your own children and teach them what you want. And in Germany, of course, homeschooling was not an option. So right out the gate, that was a battle I wasn't going to fight.
Is your wife German, or how did you come to be there?
She's German, yes.
Yeah. You military, or do you just go? Do you over there? Or?
No, I went over private, like right after the September 10th, 2001, when Rumsfeld got up and said that they couldn't account for $2.3 trillion. I pretty much said, "Fuck this! I'm not paying another dime." But everybody the next day lost their fucking minds.
Was that the triggering point for you?
Oh God, yes. The next day, everybody lost their fucking minds. Yeah, they lost their fucking minds because of some shit they saw on TV. I'm like, okay, yeah, somebody attacked a city somewhere. Did anybody notice $2.3 fucking trillion went missing? And that wasn't even a topic. It was like, seriously, you didn't hear the guy the day before? Because everybody's talking about the buildings fell. Have you not noticed that they take money from you with every transaction? I mean, is this something that you're oblivious to? So I really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way when that happened. So I left.
That's such an interesting story. That is genuinely extremely interesting. It's because I remember it was I was in the order of 16 or whatever when that happened. So I don't know. So I obviously wasn't paying a huge amount of attention to American politics, but I remember hearing about them, the Pentagon saying, "Oh yeah, we can't account for this amount of money," and I know they've accounted for a considerable amount of it now. Accountants mistake, but there was still like enormous amounts of money missing. But again, the whole system is a lie. Like, I mean, like, that money isn't fucking real in any sort of real sense. When we talk about, we're in this many trillion of debt, it's like that money's never ever getting paid back. Like, you couldn't pay that money back, and so it's like
well, so that's the question. If it's all a debtor system and you can't pay it back, and no one has paid anything since the U.S. went bankrupt in 1933, I mean, that's sort of counterintuitive for you, isn't it? That I'm not able to pay for anything because all I'm doing is propagating debt.
I understand that the system is it's okay. Right, so the reason money works is because all money is it's paper, but it works because we all believe it works. And if we all stop believing it works, it would stop working. And the reason the system works is because we believe the system works. And if we were to stop believing it, then it would stop working. And it has to be at some point when we're 100 billion or 100 trillion, we're way over that in debt. Whatever the biggest fucking number you can imagine, when we're in that amount of debt, surely at some point we're going to go, hey, this collectively everybody's going to go, like, this doesn't make any sense. How are we borrowing this amount of money from no one, from ourselves? What? I mean, so I don't know.
Look, brother, you ain't got to believe that it's flat, but that's what it's really about.
Yeah, it's again right. No, so these sorts of things, when we go, it works only because we're believing that it works, and if we all stop believing that, then it doesn't work anymore. And that no one would disagree with that point. That is a key important point of economy. And it's like, fuck.
Well,
So-
I mean, you did say earlier in the chat that there's like this whole science about getting people to buy things and
Yeah.
you know shit they don't even need. They don't even realize they're buying it. It like attacks the subconscious mind, and so they don't know why they're buying Coca-Cola. Well, because it's a sex ad. So would it be a stretch to say that that same mechanism is in place, being in this fiat currency?
No, it's not even that much of a stretch. It's so. My assumption is that a lot of the people who were involved when this system was getting set up had decent intentions and thought nobody's going to take the piss out of it. We'll just borrow a bit out of it. We'll pay it back. It'll fine. We'll just ignore it. And then other people seen that we can just pull money out of nowhere. Well, maybe I want to pull some money out of nowhere. And so you got all these people and so you have like thousands of people totally unaccounted for are just pulling out as much of this imaginary money, sort out themselves, and then the government every so often, because of the way democracy, if you're not like saying, okay, we're going to fix the roads, well, we don't have enough money to fix the roads. Well, okay, we'll borrow some more of this money from ourselves. And so it's when the system was set up, it was set up with lots of good intentions, and everybody thought this would be a great idea. Not everybody. Some people obviously want to keep gold standard and stuff like that, but keep it rooted in something physical. But even that is like your economy's based on how many shiny rocks you have, so that's silly in its own way. But it's just kept going.
Somewhere along the line, the intent got corrupted. Is that what you're saying? The intent was good initially, that we became civilized for one.
Yeah, I think it was calm. Dare I say, I think it was like, this makes sense. Having an economy set up this way makes more sense than basing it on gold. And then just other people seeing how it could be exploited, and it's been exploited and taken advantage of, and just people have just been. And I mean, like a portion of it's like when you can see, like we have a national health service over here, and so if someone gets sick, you go into the hospital and you get seen for free. It's and again, this is all based on. I mean, they can't. None of this. It's not. It's all been paid for through debt, and so I can understand. Like, there's a leftist political leader coming in now. Not coming in now, but he's gaining power. Is Jeremy Corbyn, and Jeremy Corbyn just saying, "Fix this. We're just going to fix this." And the money he's talking about is borrowing more money again to fix the problems. And you have the Conservative government who aren't that bothered about fixing it, would probably privatise it and want to reduce this debt, but they're not going to get into power if they say that's what we want to do. So they have to now invest more money into it. And at the end of the day, like when you see someone sick or with cancer, or you don't want, like, this is a thing that happens in America that doesn't happen here, is someone losing their home because they got sick. Like, that doesn't happen in our society. Whereas in America, it seems to be something that everybody knows someone whose daughter got sick, and now they're up to like 3 mortgages, and working 16 hours a day. And so it's like, I don't, like, I can obviously, if someone says, okay, we obviously don't want that society, we want a society where if your daughter gets sick, she gets treated. So I can appreciate that. I can appreciate the people who are like, we'll just borrow the money, we'll mix the system, and we'll worry about this debt some other time.
Well, you know that war is part of the debt machinery, right? Because war is very profitable. So you can borrow lots of money, you can rebuild a country, like you just destroy it so you can rebuild it. We also have products that are designed to fail as soon as you open the box, these kinds of things.
Manufactured obsolescence. That's what it's called. You ever heard about the light bulb conspiracy?
There's been so much in my head. Yeah, I'm almost positive I heard it. Go ahead.
The light bulb, it is, when I heard about it, I thought this is bullshit, and it was true. All the like in the first generation of light bulbs, all the light bulb companies came together and went, okay, these things are lasting too long. We need to build them to fail, so they're only going to last a certain amount of hours. And all the major light bulb companies agreed that. So there is one of the first Edison light bulbs is still burning in a fire station in America somewhere. Whereas the light bulbs that I'm in the room right now, and 2 of the 10 downlights that are in the roof, 8 of them are gone out. So these things are built.
So can you guys hear me by chance?
Yeah, go ahead there.
Okay, yeah. So like just about the light bulb, just for that one, don't you think through competition, one company would have said, fuck it, I'll make a light bulb that actually lasts? I mean, they would steal the whole market.
Look up.
Well, wait a minute. Wait. You're overlooking what he was saying earlier. about people saying, hey, we can just borrow some money. Look, we're printing it and we'll just take some. You're overlooking that aspect of the human condition.
Right.
So
But if
if
you're
you
a new
had
company-
if you're a new company, we'll say, come on over here, brother, check this out. If we all work together, we can run this market.
Yeah, which is basically what happened. There was a massive monopoly. So there were, 6 large light bulb companies. They controlled everything. If anybody else tried to open up a company, you buyed them out, you crushed them. You had more money to advertise. So there was it's a monopoly. They had a monopoly. They controlled all the light bulbs in the country. And so if to get into that market, so it's like the electric car. When the electric car was first introduced to America, so it was really taken off. Oil companies.
Are you talking about the EV1 through Ford or the?
Yeah, it might have been. I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of it. No, it wasn't even Ford. It was an independent company. And when the like Shell, BP created a fake company, bought over the car company, just let it die, and then actually went to the point of having the used cars bought up and crushed.
Yeah, that was the EV1. Yeah.
Yeah. So like this is but you can see like these people are just saying, oh, this is competition that we don't like, make it disappear. And so yeah, so it's
so think about that for a second on a larger scale though. Imagine for a second you've got countries.
Yeah.
And the rulers of those countries did the exact same thing.
Well, see,
but that stuff's all going. I totally appreciate all that sort of stuff is totally and completely going on. But I don't think that it's particularly hidden. I think when countries are working together, scheming together, like we take like Israel and America, what's going on in Palestine. Like, I mean, like that's so open. Like, I mean, you can just look and just read the papers and know what's going on there.
You know what I find interesting is that you think it's always a conspiracy or somebody's out to get you. And I always thought that too when the EV1 got destroyed. And I heard about it right when it first happened. It was like, well, not when it first happened, but way earlier than any other electric car was coming out. And I was like, well, they'll never let electric cars come out until we literally run out of gas.
Yeah.
And then what came along? Tesla, with Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And if there was powers that be that didn't want him to succeed, and maybe he's in on it, that's what a lot of conspiracy theorists are going to say, but they would have crushed him like the cockroach that he was, immediately.
I think what
slammed him with regulations and, so go ahead.
But the regulations are trying to stop Tesla, because what Tesla wants to do is he doesn't want to. So in America, by law, you have to sell your cars through, you can't buy it direct. You have to buy it through a dealership. So
but they're allowing that. In some states, they're not.
In some, in a significant enough that it causes a problem. But I think what Tesla has going for him is there's two. Not Tesla. What Elon Musk has going for him is he is insanely fucking rich, and the technology has improved so much. Also, there's more awareness, whereas the Shell and BP were fit to do that super easily in the dark.
What happened? I did a video on my YouTube channel about the EV1, and what happened was that California ran a regulation through an insurance policy or something like that. And what happened was California ran this regulation. Well, some bigwigs got wind of it, probably ExxonMobil and Shell, which they literally own everything, which I agree with that. It's the powers to be, they want to keep control. But anyways, they canceled that regulation, and then government got involved and canceled what made the EV1 successors. So as soon as that got canceled, then they crushed the EV1s because they wanted to stop it. The only reason they did it is because, some governors over in California were trying to make a difference, but it wasn't enough,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would take the right politicians, say, like Obama. I mean, I'm not a big proponent of Obama, but he was making big strides in alternative energy and everything. I would think they would just take the right leader. I don't think the powers that be are that controlling. I think we just need to elect the right person. And that's what I was saying to Anonymous. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but I think that going off grid and living on your own and eating your own food, I think that's a great utopia. But when it comes to I think the biggest thing that we can do is have the talks that we're having now with as many people as we can, and kind of spread the word of we've got to elect the right people that have the kind of morals that we have in mind. Mm-hmm. And if everybody's on the same page, then maybe we can see changes in the directions that we want to have.
There is an active thing going on, right? It is divide and conquer, and it is trying to make people think that their positions are. Because see, when you sit down and talk to people about healthcare, right, and you remove the red v blue, you remove socialist and communist, you remove this language, right, and you just talk to people about, all right, if your child got sick, you would want that child to be treated. Everyone fucking agrees. Everyone
Yeah.
agrees. But there is an active campaign to make the conversation more complicated and to divide people up, and that is something that is unfucking doubtable.
Yeah.
I'll say it again, brother. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Well, I mean, that's the definition of the Republican and the Democratic Party. It's to divide, and then like basically they're ran by the same organizations. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just that like when somebody gets into Donald Trump, I'm skeptical at some points, but at the same time, I'm kind of hopeful because I'm hoping that he's not paid off by politicians, because most of the time anybody up there that I feel is put up there, they're a talking head, they're a puppet, ran by and hand selected by the politician. And so
there is a great, can't remember which podcast, it might have been This American Life, and they were following the Trump campaign, and Trump was going and meeting different Koch brothers and meeting different politicians, meeting different people giving him money and stuff. So this was in the campaign, this was in the run-up, and it's
and he probably definitely needed the money. Like, I mean, Hillary raised $1 billion.
Do you know how much it costs? $1 billion.
Well, yeah, Hillary raised $1 billion, but he raised what? 250 some odd million. He said he put 100 and some odd of his own money in there.
I mean, I don't think any of his own money went in.
Yeah, probably not.
You have to look.
Money, but
well, you have to look at the corporation.
No, but this is
you're saying
this is the reality.
You're saying president as though
controlling him.
And the United States is a corporation, so that this president, whichever president, none of this matters because this is a corporation and it's
it matters a bit.
Because he can write executive orders, and if he gets in there and like say he does take money from the Koch brothers just so he can't get in, but once he's in, he's just so fed up with this fucking bureaucracy bullshit. He goes on a fucking executive order killing spree, and I mean that could do some good. Maybe it could, maybe it couldn't, but I mean I just think that the wrong guy got in there. I wish like somebody like fucking I don't know, somebody with a green head that wanted like free energy, like they wanted to release technology that we probably have in government, that could help sustain our civilization, or anything that they would just leak it and write executive orders like, say for instance, no more coal from China, no more coal, no more, like we're gonna put if you buy an electric car, we're gonna pay half of it. Mm-hmm. We don't fucking need the money anyways. We're 20 trillion in debt, just like you guys are saying. Money's nothing, and everybody would be like, oh my god, this government's fucking awesome, it's paying for half our fucking vehicles, and everybody would be like, okay, well you guys are gonna send us 30 trillion into debt, and then our new president would be like, well, what's the fucking difference between 20 and 30 trillion, honestly, in the grand scheme of things, because we're gonna get there
the
eventually.
Issue with that, right, is if a president say that, people would stop believing in the system
and money,
and then if stop believing in it, then it stops working.
Well,
that's the whole move. See, if you go off grid, they already don't believe in the system. They are making active steps in their own lives to not participate in it, and they're around other people that are doing it for the same reason. They have a common bond, a common purpose. They don't want to participate in a system that's failing.
You're right, Bob. You're right, Jamie.
The thing with the system, right? So this is my fear, right? So we have, because I'm not totally sure where your position is in this. No, I know what your position is. No, I think society has done, and the system has done lots of amazing, great things, and the fact that we are having this fucking conversation, in America, like that is this is fucking amazing. We are having a conversation, right? My grandparents, like my parents, this is sci-fi, this is science fiction here. This is what they've done in Star Trek, right?
No, I think a lot can be taken.
So these things are good, and I like them, and I like being fit to get, like, I'm in Ireland and I have a milk allergy, but I can go to the shop and buy soy milk.
And so like I was hearing your guys' medical debate as well, and like, not to disrespect anybody else, but I somewhat agreed with Buck that back in the day, if you got a staph infection or if you got anything, you died. I mean, even in Western movies, like some of the leading actors, like they always show them dying because that was just part of life back then. The average expectancy was like 45, 50, 60 at most.
Yeah, I'm with you. What's how to pronounce your name? Is it Shizo?
Schizo-Cubit.
Schizo. All right, mate. I'm Ross. How are you doing?
Great.
Hi, Ross.
Hi, mate. And Buck, is it?
Buck.
All right, Buck. How you doing? I'm Ross, mate.
Hey, Ross.
First of all, I just want to say hi to Jamie. How are you doing today, mate?
Yeah, man.
You've been super quiet, Jamie. You're fucking.
Yeah, I'm just listening in, really.
Yeah, Jamie's great for hosting these shows and that. And,
yeah, thank you.
How was Blackpool today?
Yeah, it's been a good time actually.
How was the turnout?
I'll be right back.
Well, What do you mean, like turnout? Like
There was quite a lot of people.
there weren't a lot of people. It was just,
A few hundred.
no.
Well, that's a shame, man.
Well, we
Yeah,
got
so,
to start.
That's how these things start, though, isn't it? I guess it's going to take more and more meets and that,
Yeah.
I want to go to Blackpool someday. It sounds magical. So,
Yeah.
Ross, what's your position then in all of this? When you come down?
Well, I definitely don't believe it's a fucking spinning ball, for crying out loud. You'd be ridiculous to believe that,
Fellas, I gotta jump off of here. It's been great. You've got my email. So
I've got your email.
contact me, please
I
do,
will
Jay.
send you a message. I want to see some pictures of this living free and making your own water and stuff. Sounds very interesting to me. So I will send you we email this evening, anonymous. Okay.
All right.
we just call
right.
him Bob.
And Jamie, thank you so much for providing this platform for us to do what we've done.
Yeah. Just try and make an open platform so people can come on and share some information and different perspective and
Yeah, I mean, Jamie, one of these, like all the chats that I've been listening to over the past few weeks, by far yours is the most peaceful, the most civil, if you will. Well, wouldn't you agree, Bob?
Sorry.
Wouldn't Bob agree? Anonymous?
What we're trying to do here is try and find common ground.
I think if you talk with it, there's a great Abraham Lincoln quote. I don't like that man. I must get to know him. So it's like the reality is, if you talk to anybody long enough, you're going to find things you like about them, find to be common, stuff like that there, and you're going to scream and shout. And as long as you're not a fucking infant, you can get over that. This is the thing I hate more than anything. Is like, oh, you're mean to me. You called me an asshole. I'm not talking to you anymore.
Buck, you should have been here a few nights ago and listening to some of the arguments that was happening. I tell you,
a lot of screaming,
a lot of shouting over one another, and a lot of opinionated discrimination.
What are you talking about?
Flat Earth Court and Paul
and Pete Shea. Yeah, it got them pretty heated then, didn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, Flat Earth Court got really, really. I mean, I went back and listened to that episode, that show you did. I went back and listened to it, and oh fucking hell, man! I mean, just the way Flat Earth Court was just drilling into Pete Shea. It was.
Yeah, no, I know. Like maybe Pete Shea, he is quite controversial, but and he's free to express his opinions on certain topics, even though they might be really out there.
Well, that's what this platform you're offering, Jamie. Like, I was talking to a few people tonight about conspiracies while I was out, and I've met a guy, and he's an anarchist, right? But he's what his friend calls a master's in he's got a master's degree in anarchy. This guy he's been chatting loads of shit to me tonight about anarchism and how it's been portrayed to be violent and aggressive, when it's really just simply in itself government without governed,
Yeah.
And I've told him about the platform, and hopefully
in its purest form, that's anarchism is libertarianism.
But yeah,
I mean, like
in a nutshell.
if you were to look at like classical anarchism, you go, oh, you're libertarian. I mean, like that's I don't know, but there is like the anarchist movement like turned violent like when late 1800s. They're like had their bombing campaign across America.
Yeah, any movement pretty much is co-opted.
Absolutely. I mean,
so, the whole female rights movement, the whole,
well, this
gay
is what
rights
I said,
movement,
Jamie.
all these different, animal rights movement, all these different movements, they're all co-opted by the government.
Well, the way I likened it to was about the word conspiracy and how that got coined by the CIA after the assassination of the president, and how they coined this terminology, conspiracy theory, and this, that, and the other, and how it discredits anybody that's looking into a conspiracy based on the simple fact it's got the word conspiracy in it. When we all know what the word means, it's just another way to dismiss something. We'll coin this terminology and dismiss it and call them nut jobs. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like how the flat earthers, they get lumped in as people believe in
side of things. Every flat earther,
or they believe in an edge or something like that. Yeah, or they believe in an edge. They believe.
Do you want to talk about
the flat there's like an edge that they can fall off of.
Flat earthers do you believe in? Some flat earthers do believe that.
Sorry, Buck, what are you saying?
Some flat earthers do believe there's an edge that you can fall off of.
Well, complete bollocks.
How can you believe that?
That is, I've spoke to
flat earther, and he's in the edge being NASA have he would put it all down to NASA. He says they're the main players and trolling the idea and the covering up the ice wall and stuff like that there, and he thinks behind the ice wall there's an edge.
Well, I mean, we don't really know what's going on there, seeing as though
This is what I was,
with the guiding going on. I mean, it could, some reckon there could be a dome there, like it terminates at a dome maybe, or it could go on and it could loop a bit possibly as well. That's another concept.
Well, this is what you were saying, Jamie, about how we need to stop thinking about the South Pole and start looking towards the North, because ever since you told me that the other night and you mentioned like beyond the poles, I've been doing a lot of research on the North Pole because I was trying to like look it from your angle. So I've done a lot of research.
What about the four rivers?
About the four rivers, the mountain, and I've gone deep. We know Chris F.E. what he was talking about, this Titans and these animals that were silicon life forms, and now the densified and stuff. I spent hours fucking since he spoke about that. I've spent hours looking it up, man, and I can't get it out of my head now. And all I'm thinking about is the way the planet was before Noah's flood, like the biblical story before Noah, how the world was with 30,000 foot trees with mile-long diameters. And
so it may seem kind of like fanciful to a lot of people.
So what percentage of flat earthers do you think are like biblical literalists who think Noah's flood happened and Abraham existed?
Can I have like 30 seconds on? All right, so like I'm like a big guy into like SpaceX, and I believe in us going to Mars and shit like that. But at the same time, I've watched damn near everything on flat Earth because I was like hooked on it for a minute because it is intriguing. It's extremely, so I'm open-minded. But all right, so what I'm saying is I think what flat earth theorists have, and why it's considered a conspiracy and like everybody's loony, is that most people that dive into it are religious, nomads. I mean, they literally they're so fucking stuck on, and there's just a bunch of uneducated people getting in there, like kids and everything else. And like I'm not saying you guys, like
no, I fully understand that. Yeah, not all you guys. I understand where you're coming from on that.
Standard, because like you have all the scientists and mainstream media, like everybody believes in the globe Earth, and then you get these loony bins that are buying into these YouTube videos, and then it's all of a sudden it's fake because all these crazy ass people. Because if you hear most of the shit on YouTube, it's like, if the fucking Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, and we're traveling through we're traveling at 120,000 miles a second through the solar system and going 1,000,000 miles an hour through the universe,
of 1,000,000 miles per second. Yeah, we're traveling in fucking 4 different directions.
And they're like, and I don't sense a bit of movement. Like, explain that one. It's like, okay, crazy. Well, but it isn't crazy because like if you're on a train, like if I get on a train,
I've heard this analogy so many fucking times.
But this is the same analogy that should always be applied. But
the thing is,
an object in motion tends to stay in motion.
Changing motion. We'd be constantly changing because of all the different directions.
But no, we're not changing.
Subtle changes.
We're not changing. And if we are changing, but it's so fucking slow.
Subtle.
It's tiny subtle changes.
The main given theory is there's so many holes in this theory, and all the things they're saying.
Every 12 hours, you're supposed to be going from speeding at the equator. You're going from speeding 66,600 around the sun to going in reverse 60,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, but the circumference of our orbit is so vast. Like the amount of change in degrees is like maybe a hundredth of a degree every.
No, we're not talking about the actual rotation. We're talking about the actual motion.
Right, Schizo, can I ask you a question?
Yeah. Sorry.
Right. So the Earth spins. It allegedly spins. 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, 24 hours in a given day. Yes.
I mean, I'm not sure on the exact numbers, but yeah.
Well, it's like pretty much that. Yeah. I mean, we've got 24 hours in a day, right? So if the sun's in the center and the Earth at winter is on the right, let's say the right hand side of the sun from the outwards perspective of the solar system, right? If you're looking out at the solar system, right, in winter, the Earth is on the right side of the sun, right? For example, 6 months later, that Earth's going to be on the other side of the sun, is it not?
Yes.
Right. So if we make a model and use it mechanically and wind it up, if we was to turn the Earth 24 hours a day, and then 6 months later, you see, what we would need to account for is time change. We would have to turn our clocks back every month, like an hour, like an hour and a half.
No. But wait, no. The reason we turn our
account for-
clocks back is to give ourselves an extra hour of light. We like that's not a natural thing. It's
for
just
the work
something we do.
schedule. It's work schedules. It allows people
Yeah,
that are working
that is true.
daylight to work.
The was it daylight savings time? That's just
Right, so
it's
that
not-
doesn't
it's
catchphrase
not-
it.
it's not-
basically, the only thing that affects
to
like
me, it
daylight.
doesn't equate.
All right, so daylight saving time is based on like the 20-degree tilt of our Earth. And so like the northern hemisphere during when we're on, you say, the summer side, when we're on the right side of the sun, our 22-degree tilt is leaning towards the sun. So the northern hemisphere gets more light. And so then on the other side, our tilt stays the same as we rotate. Then we get less sun. In the southern hemisphere is getting most of the sun in the winter month. And so then we get less sunlight daily because we get the looping motion of the sun going across the
I'm
sky.
not talking about how many lights of sunlight we get. What I'm talking about is like mathematically and mechanically, if the Earth was to travel 6 months and it was daylight at 12 o'clock in noon on the summer side of the sun, and then 6 months later it's on the other side of the sun, like mathematically it should be 12 o'clock at night, not 12 o'clock in the day. If we
we can't. The thing is, right, we can build these models and you can look at it. I mean, like these models that you're describing exist and they match up perfectly with how things are.
like, I don't think the globe model like matches up perfectly at all. I mean,
They literally do. Like, I mean, like there's lots of models that literally just.
I see what you're saying. He's saying like at 12 o'clock on January.
12
right?
o'clock in June and 12 o'clock in January. Yeah, it should be.
It should be exactly the opposite because
absolutely.
of 6 months.
Yes.
Because if it takes 30, yeah, that makes sense. I see what you're saying.
That to me, like, and I've looked at reasons and understandings to explain this, and it doesn't make sense in my head when I mathematically equate it in my mind. And I
see exactly what you're saying.
Myself as a quite educated person, I'm not stupid, you know. I mean, I can.
Right, and I don't know if that has to do with like how we have to do the leap year because
like
every other. You know what I mean? Like we have to add an extra whatever, like subtract something every other 4 years. Is it 4 years?
A full day. We add an extra day every 4 years.
Right, and I don't know if that would account for the 12-hour change but if you think 12 hours, it should be every 2 years if we had to do an added day. If that's what you're talking about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For the Earth to make that rotation, but that would get us closer. And I think that's kind of what it is. And I don't think that it's probably a full day. You know, like the Mayans Mayans? They had like the ideal calendar. They had it down like fucking perfectly. You know, and we've always subject our shit off 24 hours. 60 minutes. 365 days. But that just makes it easier for us to communicate through. Like telling people when to arrive and like communicating with the world.
Can I ask what your profile picture is? I like your profile picture. Is that the NASA launcher?
SpaceX. SpaceX, yeah.
Yes, is that SpaceX?
Yeah.
Is that rocket or shuttle going off into the sea, or would you say that's going off into the?
Okay, so a lot of people would say something like that. Okay, so when you're launching into space, you don't go straight up, because if you go straight up into space, then you don't have an orbital velocity.
So what would you say would happen?
Miles an hour. So what would happen is if I went straight up into space in the stratosphere and just stopped, I would plummet down to the Earth into a burning ring of fire.
So what would the rocket do? What if you went straight up with a rocket then, like on a globe Earth? What would happen? Would it just come to a hole, or would it drift off into space?
If you shot straight up with a rocket,
yes,
and then you just stopped, you would plummet to Earth because of Earth's gravity. That's why rockets, when they launch, they look like they're going straight up, but they have to make an arcing move to get the orbital velocity that they need to stay in orbit.
I've heard that story. I mean, but I've also seen footage of two different angles from somebody filming a rocket launch from launch and filming from a different perspective, watching it land, fall back down, and it doesn't look like it's going into the atmosphere.
Because if you're filming from the angle of if it was coming at you or going away from you, you wouldn't see the rocket flare actually make any kind of arc. So obviously it depends on your angle. If you're on the side of it and you're watching it go left or right, then you would see the arc. But if you're front to back on it, then you'd see it just go kind of straight up and then come straight down. Because the rocket flare would diminish up in the atmosphere because it wouldn't be burning oxygen anymore. It'd have to start onto its fucking liquid.
Forgive me for being so skeptical.
No, it's okay because all right. So all right. So let's switch gears. Now I'm going to say the things that I believe about flat Earth that makes it hard for me. The only reason that I kept watching now, all the other stuff that I've listened to is kind of this is fucking stupid. I don't even know I'm watching. But all right. So why don't we fly over Antarctica? That was very suspicious for me. I was like, okay. So I was like, okay, if I'm flying from Chile and I'm going to Australia or South Africa,
it's a lot more logical that you'd fly over the South Antarctica.
Obviously, the shortest flight would be to fly over that. But then you're like, okay, well, it's military bases over there, and that's international grounds.
Well, hold on a minute. Oh, wait.
Also, there's demand, and also there is the
Sorry,
cost
did you
of
say
that,
military
and also
bases?
there's airports. So no, so people keep talking about on other majors, why do you not have a connecting flight between South America and Africa?
No, I understand that. But I understand that you have to pick up more passengers in one area to take them and to make the plane be able to utilize its fuel in certain directions. But
also, you need airports because airplanes won't fly over close to as many airports. So if something does go wrong,
but that's not true at all. Because when you take a flight from Australia to California, you're going over a Pacific Ocean that is almost twice the distance that a plane has to go from Chile to South America or South Africa over Australia, or it's almost. It's either equal or it's less. You know what I mean? Like the Pacific Ocean, you have no minus Hawaii. Maybe Hawaii would be their breaking point if they ever ran into a problem.
So could everybody just give me their? Could everybody give me their? So is everybody here flat Earth, or you believe the Earth's flat, or what?
No, obviously my main picture is SpaceX. So I'm just playing devil's advocate because I've watched all the shit, and I'm just saying that I wanted to switch gears and give them a little bit of shit to eat on, because what I'm saying is they have legitimate points sometimes. Because for instance, all right, so you take all these flights and you're like, okay, these guys have to pick up more passengers to make the fuel and the efficiency of the plane flights more feasible. Well, they always make these arcing fucking movements, right? Okay, well, why don't these arcing movements ever go in a downward triangle? I've never even seen that on a YouTube channel. Okay, they never make downward arcing triangles to pick up people that are further south and then go north. They always go north then south. Well, it's then your rebuttal would be, well, most of the civilized countries on the planet are all in the north. Well, then my rebuttal is, why are all the civilized countries in the north? Is it because they have quicker access to each other?
This is a conversation on its own. But why are all the developed countries? And the major reason for that is the Eurasian landmass. So this is the area that had all the domesticatable crops, that had not all of them, but had the majority of domesticatable animals.
Domesticatable crops and whatever, but that's the same thing. If the northern and the southern hemisphere are the exact same,
no, they're not. No, there's more landmass on the northern hemisphere.
Oh, I know, there is more landmass.
I agree with Buck.
So there is this is actually majorly important, right? And because there is more,
I can grow corn just like I can in Indiana as I can in Brazil because
right. So but what you need is right. No, okay. So here's the so civilization, as we call it, started off in Fertile Crescent and then independently again in China. So these are the people who started domesticating crops, who started domesticating animals in a bigger, more serious way. Had animals, and this moved. So these people then sort of kept moving out, and their ideas kept moving out, whatever it was.
Okay. So we can go into that. I agree with you. Most of the landmass is in the north, so that is somewhat an irrelevant point for. All right, so let's jump. And I know where you're going, and that you're right. You're right. Okay, so all right, let's get back to the planes though. Okay, so the little triangle moves that they do. Why don't the triangles move down sometimes and then up? Is it only because most major cities are north, or is it that when you do pan out the earth and you do lay it flat, all these fucking plane flights oddly are almost fucking scarily are straight. It's
so as a global earther, you you agree that these flight patterns are strange?
And not only did I watch the videos of these flight patterns, I was like, there's no fucking way. There's no way. And so then I went myself to the flight trackers and I watched them, and not one plane flight is tracked across the Southern Sea.
Yeah, but we can explain this again by just that the population centers are all in the northern hemisphere. This is where all the money is. So having a demand for a,
you know,
for the most part
over in Chile, you know, there's
for the most part, but for regular flight, there's no justification for a large airline to have regular flights from Johannesburg to Medellin. You know,
I mean, that's a terrible. Okay, what about the Cape of South Africa, which is a huge tourist spot, to Chile or Brazil or like one of the major populations?
But the majority of these populations, the majority of these populations are in poverty.
Traffic. A single flight traffic from like the Cape of South Africa is like very popular.
But the majority of the population, a large enough population to have an airplane dedicated to this route, when the majority of this population is in poverty, when it's like it makes more sense for you financially to have connecting flights from these poor areas into richer areas. But I mean, that's using Occam's razor. That's a simpler answer.
Oh, you're right. Occam's razor, the simplest answer tends to be the right one, and that is a great fucking reasoning. And then an obvious flat earther's rebuttal would be, well, maybe we keep the southern hemisphere poor just so we don't have to explain why we don't do that shit. You know what I mean?
That would be a bizarre. But I mean, like, and that's we keep the southern, because I mean, like, when you talk to flat earthers, a lot of the time the conspiracy theory only started like.
But if it is flat, they are isolated out in the middle of nowhere, are surrounded by nothing and by no one.
What country is that? So what you say the country's going to be surrounded by nothing and isolated? What country is that?
So if you're looking at a flat Earth, like you're a flat Earth theorist, right? That's what I was getting.
Right.
You are, right? Okay.
Yeah, I theorize on it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not set in stone that I believe in it. Disc in circular. I mean, it could be virtual reality. It could be a number of different things. But it's definitely not rotating.
Skizzo, could I have your email address?
Sorry,
or your Twitter or something? I have a science podcast.
Okay. All right. So, like, do you want me to I'll just personal message you after.
Yeah. That Buck Mulligan at gmail.com is mine. Is my thing. So just send me a message or something like that.
All right. So when you pan the Earth out and surround, all right. So like basically like an apple peel. Like Antarctica is the bottom, right? And that is the core, or that's the ring that surrounds the flat Earth. Okay. In their theory. All right. So you peel the fucking Earth back like a fucking.
No. That's not the whole theory. That's not the whole flat Earth theory. That's just one model.
It's the major concerning one, and the one that I have the most structured knowledge in, and also believe in. Like if it is possible, and I'm telling you, when I say I believe in it, I'm telling you it's like a 4 to 5%. Like, and that's stretching it. But I'm saying I'm just trying to be devil's advocate. Okay. So all right. So when you stretch it out, now South Africa and South America, they're isolated. They're like out in the middle of nothing. They have no one around them besides ice and water for thousands of miles. So of course they would have no chance.
Right. Okay. Now, so if Argentina, you're talking about Argentina and South America, Australia, these type of countries that are in the southern hemisphere. If we're talking about the flat Earth model being a flat circular disc with an right?
Yeah, just Google it. Look at the flat Earth model.
Sorry.
Yeah, just Google the image on flat Earth.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen multiple different theories of the flat Earth model. I mean, this is one of them with an ice ring, and to me, with the sun rotating around that, it doesn't actually fit that model. To me, I mean, I have holes in that model, right?
Okay.
Just like I do.
All right. So let
me go back to what you were saying on the southern hemisphere, right? There's actually two expeditions done with the Challenger and James Cook, where these two a few hundred years ago traveled the southern hemisphere, and both described it being roughly around 69 to 75,000 miles in circumference, with Antarctica and in the view at the whole time. And it also says James Cook also said he tried to navigate around Antarctica, and he couldn't find an opening to go around it. Like, if you can picture it in your mind, and if you was to travel right, if you was to travel right around it, you couldn't. So he described traveling left over around just like the flat Earth model being with an ice. He described traveling around that. I mean,
I watched it. Yeah,
and he discusses and he travels and he talks about how he traveled to Australia and South America and these all different countries within the miles that they would fit roughly on a circular disc flat, ice ball model.
And so, all right. Let me say a few more things. Okay, so what they did back in what was it, the 50s or 60s? And this guy, I think it was Cook. They basically made the Indiana Jones movie after this guy. But he was like a huge explorer.
Like the Crystal Skull.
The U.S. military hired this guy, and this is not a conspiracy theorist. And he was a military operated dude. He wasn't just like random Indiana Jones hired. But anyway, so they hired this guy. They're like, okay, we have to take crews down, and we want you guys to go explore Antarctica because it was the last unexplored portion of the planet. And so what they did was they planned on it taking a couple of 4 or 5 weeks. They would go around it, they would send planes in, and they would find the end, and they would find basically how big it was. They wanted to see what was there because from what we knew before we had satellites, we didn't fucking know what was behind an ice sheet. For everything we knew, once you go across some ice, there could be a whole nother continent there. You know what I mean? It could be a whole nother
more just like Admiral Byrd described.
Right. And so they did this, and it took them 6 months. They ended up spending 6 months. And what they would do is they would travel around the edge, and they would send planes in, and the planes would go as far as they could fucking travel, and then have to turn back till they ran out of gas.
Yeah, to refuel. Yeah.
Right, to refuel. And so they would go a couple hundred miles. They'd send a plane in. They'd go a couple hundred miles. They'd have to come a couple hundred miles back in and land. They'd go a couple hundred miles in the sea, send another one in. And then so basically, if you can imagine, they were just going around this fucking ice sheet, sending fucking planes in, and just never found anything. I mean, I thought that was pretty interesting as well. But I'm not saying oh, there's fucking flat that determines it. No, I'm just saying that maybe that was a false maybe that was a false record. Maybe they never had that mission. Maybe
would you think
maybe we don't fly over Antarctica because there are no tourists in southern Africa, and there are no people that in South America that have money that want to go there on a regular basis that would justify a flight. Or and then another thing, the triangular flight all across the planet, every fucking flight always goes north then goes south, always goes north then goes south, and you lay it out on a fucking flat earth map and they're all straight line. It's really
I'd also like to add about what you said about the North Pole and planes traveling. If you actually look at the flight record, even on a global model, there's actually a little circle across the North Pole where no flights will ever go over, and it does show a circle. If you map out all the flights, there's a circle at North Pole where you're not allowed to fly over the North Pole either, which is very suspicious.
Now I've seen them fly similar, almost around and around about.
Yeah, but
they go from Ontario, Canada to Russia.
Yeah, some might say it has to do with the magnetics or something.
Yeah.
Well, it's a bit ridiculous to assume that. I mean, if we have the technology to go in space, we should have the technology to travel the poles.
Well,
especially the South Pole, with how cold it is. It's way colder in space.
Is that you look at I commend everybody watching the stream right now to Google satellites around Earth. I mean, it's littered. We have thousands.
We'll never see them. We've never seen them on space. We've never seen them.
I mean, I've seen them. I've seen it. 2 or 3 or 4. Every time I look up in the sky, I can sit there, and if I sit there for an hour or two, if I'm out camping around a campfire or something,
that's a satellite of the space station.
I'll see something circle by. Okay, but all right. So here's what my fucking leading.
Can I just interject there and just tell you something about satellites and lights in the sky and stuff? For hundreds of years, there's been man recording times where they've seen lights passing in the sky and not knowing what it is. These lights that we see in the sky today that we think are satellites in the space station and this, that, and the other have been spotted and have been recorded by people hundreds of years before and onwards, before NASA was invented in satellites. And I might like to add, satellites was science fiction just a decade before it became a fiction, which is a bit coincidental.
I don't know. Like, I mean, like when we had the first recordings of planets around around in our solar system from, like, I don't know if Galileo did it or like some of the older versions of them, but I guess we lost Buck, but because I was going to ask him, but Galileo,
Galileo, yeah,
tracked all the planets. You know what I mean? If they would have tracked these, they would have tracked these little things that they've seen going around, they would have considered those planets. They would have thought those were extremely close planets.
No, because the planets were a lot larger. The larger stars and more brighter than they would, and plus they did have. I mean, Galileo he built a telescope, did he not?
Yeah.
He's the guy who built the first telescope. Is that right?
Yeah, he was the first one. Yeah.
So he had the technology to see these wandering stars. He mapped the planets because he could see them as actual physical, assumed physical beings, like bodies, you know. But these other like lights, these traveling ones, like move really fastly across the sky, that we class as satellites and we class as the International Space Station. These were around during Galileo's time. These were around in the 1920s, in the 1870s. And I mean, Tesla talks about the dark night, this satellite that travels around Earth, you know, and he talks about communicating with this. I mean, this is one of the greatest minds between 1890 and 1930, you know. I mean, we can't just dismiss somebody as smart as that. I mean, Einstein himself was asked, how does it feel to be the smartest man on Earth? And his quote was, I don't know, ask Nikola Tesla, you know. It's there in itself, man, you know. And like, people always tell me, you know, you can see the International Space Station with your naked eye. No, I fucking can't. I can see a fucking star moving. That's been recorded fucking 100 years ago. Like, am I supposed to be that naive and assume that's that without any fucking critical thinking whatsoever? Seriously, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And like, so like, basically, if we have thousands of satellites up there,
then we should be
the first rebuttal would be like, okay, well, most of them are too small to reflect light to where you can see it with the naked eye.
Right, so we wouldn't see the moon, do you reckon?
Here's the natural rebuttal that if you're looking through a telescope, now most don't have enough light to reflect to see with the naked eye. Okay, let's look through a telescope. When you
I used to have a telescope. I bought a 10-inch aperture telescope that was 6 foot.
I've got a Dosinian 12-inch that is serious. It weighs like 200 pounds. It's serious. Like, I'm serious about it. Like, I've watched, and I look at Mars all the time.
Right, so you've watched Jupiter. Studied Jupiter.
Yeah, and I've actually seen Andromeda, like the nearest galaxy. Yeah.
You've seen Jupiter then?
Yes, I've seen Jupiter with my own eye, with my own eyeball.
As well, I've seen it with my 10-inch telescope that I used to own, right? And have you watched it? Like, did you look at it constantly over 2 years, a year?
No, of course not. So it didn't rotate, or what are you saying?
It doesn't rotate at all. I've never seen it rotate. And I looked at it for 2 years. Well, I tell a lie about it.
Well, I mean, like, what, every day, and like created a snapshot?
Every week I went out in my ex-girlfriend's garden for 18 months, and I looked at Jupiter and the 4 stars, and I do admit that I've seen the 4 stars, the moons, move slightly.
I mean, I don't know if like Jupiter is totally bound by the moon or by the sun. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe it is totally bound.
I've never seen that eye of Jupiter change, right? And Jupiter's supposed to be spinning. I'm not sure, but I think faster than Earth.
No, I think it's surprising that the moon. Like, I have a problem with the moon not rotating. I think that's very fucking fishy.
And
very strange.
Coincidence.
And like, all right, hold on. Now, and then there's records in the like, not even Mayans, even before them, like in these like ancient bullshit.
Sumerians.
They
7,000-year-old civilization.
They didn't talk about the moon at all. They didn't even, like, it wasn't in any of their writings. And I'm not saying it was Samaritan. What I'm saying is like supposedly there was like these civilizations way back when. Way back when. I'm talking about the motherfuckers that lived in caves and drew like pictures on the wall. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is like they always like draw stars in the caves. They drew the star patterns in the caves. And they never drew the moon. Okay, and then there was like this old like fucking writing text, and maybe this is a lie, but they talked about when the moon arrived. And so like, and then what I heard was, and I've actually seen this shit, but when NASA launched they launched rockets up, right? Okay, what their plan was, they're going to land them in these asteroid craters. They wanted to see if ice was able to collect in these craters that never received light from the sun. And so what they did was they ran these rockets into these craters, and then they would run a probe. After the ejection mass from these explosions would hit these craters, they run the probe through the ejection mass to collect the data. So instead of having to land on the moon to collect samples, what they decided to do is run an explosion, and not a fucking rocket explosion, but just a high impact explosion. It would eject mass, and then they'd run through and collect it. Well, what happened, a bystander to that experiment, is that the moon rang like a bell.
Yeah, I heard that story. That was quoted as well. That was the exact quote. It rang like a bell. Yeah.
Right, for like a day. Or
for hours. No, they actually said for hours.
Yeah.
It rang like
and
a
so
bell.
Their next experiment, they sent a bigger one and then hit it, and it rang for like a day. It was like, okay, well, maybe they're fucking bullshit. Maybe they're lying.
Yeah, that is.
Maybe that whole story is fabricated.
By vertebrate for so long.
Yeah, it's intriguing nonetheless.
You can call me Ross.
Ross?
Yeah, you can call me. That's my name. That's my first name. I just go by my Freeman Abel. Is just.
So who did we just get in here? Who is this guy?
We have a movement called the Freeman Movement, and it's all based around your birth certificate. When you're born, you're basically signed off into society. I think it branches back to the Western times in America, like the 1700s, where you was a sovereign person and you could create a town and it was your own sovereign man. And you could take a man on the streets and shoot him, like have a duel with him, and the police wouldn't be able to get involved. And then what happened was cities started forming, and then they started registering these cities as corporations, and then you would become a member of that corporation and have a national security number and so forth and so forth, and you were bound by these laws.
All right, so somebody all right, so who built the moon? The Russians did it. That's shit. All right, so here's the theory. All right, let me get my fucking main thesis out. All right, so now I don't believe the Earth is flat. Okay, so let's get that straight. I'm 95, 96% sure the Earth is round. So, but I'm leaving the fucking single doubt because there are iffy and fishy
round or
all right. Now the moon is tidally bound. Odd. Okay, the moon doesn't have as much gravity as we would expect it to have based on its fucking circumference and mass. Not mass, circumference and radius. You know what I mean? It's basically its fucking size. It needs more fucking
coincidentally the same size as the sun.
It's almost like it's hollow. Okay, that's odd. Okay, and then there's these people way back when, supposedly, that wrote about when the moon arrived. That's fucking odd too. Okay, so all right.
Wrote about what about the moon?
Huh?
They wrote about the moon.
They wrote. All right. So Buck came back.
Yeah, I came back. My battery died.
Oh, your battery died.
So they wrote about them. What did they write about them? They wrote about when the moon
Okay,
arrived?
so no, I clarified this before. So you just arrived. So I need to re-clarify. So what I'm saying is I don't know whether this is legitimate or not, but I heard this in a documentary on TV, and so I don't trust the TV, obviously, because nobody should. Just because it's on TV doesn't make it real. Okay, so I heard this on the TV, and also I read about it online, which obviously you don't need to trust online either. But supposedly,
it seems like you've got a couple of reputable sources, though.
People before the Mayans or the Aztec or the Incas or anybody, even before that, people had talked about the arrival of the moon, and they have records of people always writing records of stars and never had any collection of the moon as a god. Because usually any object in the sky was a god, and beforehand it was only the sun and a couple stars were god.
So are you suggesting that the moon was?
And then all of a sudden,
that's super vague. I mean, what you're saying is I heard something somewhere that's true. So I mean, this.
Yes, exactly. Right, exactly.
I mean, it really isn't.
It's super vague, and I described it as vague. So I described it as vague as possible.
Vague is cool. Speculate.
But at the same time, if you hear about NASA running rockets into craters on the moon and then running a probe through to collect the outgas from the explosion to see if the water vapor was inside the craters. Huh?
Can I just say something about craters? Now you've brought up craters, yeah?
he's the skeptic. Buck, did you hear about the people landing the rockets in the craters of the moons to collect the ejectional gas?
I remember they done something similar to an asteroid not too long ago, but I can't remember that was in the
Okay, so they recorded the moon ring like a bell for hours.
I've heard, the first time I heard someone say this, right, was a Muslim said he heard this.
Okay.
This proves about the Quran.
Well, the Quran states that the moon was chopped in half by Muhammad.
Yeah, they also claim that. They're saying, this proves, but the moon doesn't ring like a bell, and there's no oxygen up there, so there's no air molecules. There's nothing move around, so it can't ring like a bell because.
But what if it
died and it was hollow?
Couldn't transfer sound.
What if the moon itself was hollow and it was oxygen or air or some sort of medium?
No, you're saying that the sound couldn't travel back to the Earth through any. But if it traveled through, I mean, the sound would have to travel through a radio wave, which I mean, like, that is feasible. Like, sound is not only based on fucking physical sound.
But it rhymes
like sound is like
doesn't sound travel at 769 miles per hour?
No, sound is here's my theory. Okay.
No. I mean, sorry. So the given theory
Right,
is
so
sound
let me
travels
explain.
at 760.
Like, radio waves are a low frequency, right? They go like this. They're a low frequency. Now, then you got infrared, then you got radio waves, and you got gamma rays, and you got light waves, and the visible light. But like, then you got sound. What if sound is just a lower version of light? Just like, say I yell loud. What if I yell loud enough? I produce light. You know what I mean? Like, it's true though. I can yell loud enough, but my vibrations out of my voice produce light. Right.
No,
exactly.
It is. It's vibrating air molecules.
Yes.
So it's not like light at all. It's like photons. I mean, like
No, that's not true. You don't know that for a fact.
I know it as well as I know anything else. I know it as well as I know.
Okay.
I know it as well as I know that cigarettes cause cancer.
So you know what as well as
That's
you know
not true
cigarettes
though.
cause cancer.
Hold on, I gotta bust Buck on this one. All right, so do you know about the double slit experiment, Buck?
Yes, I know about the double slit experiment. I know that it's misrepresented and misunderstood.
It's misrepresented and misunderstood by Einstein, Bohr's, everybody.
It wasn't misrepresented by them. It's misrepresented by people pushing woo and math. People understand.
What? I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time understanding. Hold on. Let me put Buck on your earbuds in. It's misrepresented by who?
People pushing magic and homeopathy and pseudo-religious nonsense.
That's not true, Buck. You need to look that up.
I like Deepak Chopra and homeopathy.
Your mic's cut now for one, but Buck, I'm telling you,
Anthony, who's just joined us, wants to speak about the moon ringing like a bell.
Buck, you're 100% wrong about this. I can show you the Royal Institute. No, hold on. Have you ever watched Royal Institute? Royal Institute on YouTube. They're like one of the most prestigious fucking Royal Institute. It's like the European NASA.
Give me the idea. Okay, right. So a photon can move both like a wave.
Like a wave and a particle at the same time. Right.
I am totally yeah.
Okay. So what you're saying is like you cannot rule out. So what you're saying is like sound cannot be a particle, right? But like how do we know? How do we know a particle is not sound at the same time? Well, we can like radiation sounds like it can be perceived with a telescope and an antenna, just like sound can.
Yeah, but we can.
Okay, no, but you're saying this is sort of like this sort of thing, sort of. No, sound is what sound is, light is what light is. These are different things. Sound is when I click my fingers, the air molecules around my fingers start shaking. Those shaking air molecules get into my ear, bounce up against my eardrum, and that sensation.
So you don't think? That you? Hold on. You don't think you create? You don't think you create energy when you snap your fingers? You don't think energy of?
Yeah, but the energy and light are two different entities.
Yeah, the energy transfers information.
Yeah, but the speed of sound and the speed of light travel at two different speeds. This is fact. We can measure this. Speed of sound and the speed of light are very different speeds. Like there's a chasm between the giant amount of speeds between those two, and we can measure them both. And they're totally different mediums traveling in different ways.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally correct.
So, Buck, you were saying how this, like, the double slit experiment has been misinterpreted by people.
Well, it's misinterpreted by
So what's your interpretation on double slit experiment?
Okay, so we'll talk about so you know the idea that so the Heisenberg, so not even really talk about that, but the idea that when you do an experiment that it changes the outcome.
The observation of the experiment makes the wave particle of a light physical.
Collapse into a particle.
Yeah, collapse or become physical. Yeah, this is the given theory. This is what I understand it to be.
Yeah. So what basically has happened is there isn't anything magical. There isn't anything. Oh, it's not because you're conscious. It's not because your mind. It's not humans are changing.
Okay, so what is it?
It's luck.
Luck.
The way you see things is the light molecule. So there's a football sitting in front of you.
A chance? You're saying it's by chance?
No, not by chance. Photons from whatever light source bounce off your eyes. They then bounce from your eyes.
Buck, you're really quiet. It's difficult to hear you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, sorry.
Buck, is there any way you can turn your mic up or any way to increase your volume of your...
Oh, sorry, give me a second.
What, Buck?
Right, so the way that you see things, the way that I see things, is the light. Here, good enough. The light bounces. The photons from that light source bounce. Hit my eyes. They then bounce off my eyes.
That's ridiculous.
Right,
wait,
bounce off onto an object, and then bounce back, and my optic hits the optical nerve, and the brain processes that information. Right. So when you try to observe a particle, when a particle hits a football, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything because the particle is very small and the football is much bigger. But when you try to observe another particle, what happens is those photons that are from your observational equipment that are trying to see this hit and disturb those
so
photons.
What you're saying is that the eyes produce photons?
No. The photons come from the light. They bounce off your eyes.
Yeah, he's seeing the observation of the atoms going through the double-slit experiment actually change the experiment itself and cause the collapse.
The observation changed the experiment.
Right. Sorry, Buck. No. Listen, sorry, Psycho. Listen, right. So, but they did this experiment and they actually used a video camera instead of human.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But the video camera sees the same way. So the light bounces off the lens, and the lens that light then bounces off those photons. So a video camera works the exact same way as your eyes. Not the exact same way, but it works in a similar way as your eyes work.
Right. So I understand. I can go with the theory that light can bounce off the lens of a camera, right?
So the light bounces off. The light bounces off that. So the photon. So a photon bouncing off a football doesn't matter because a photon is small and a football is big. But a photon bouncing off another particle disturbs it.
We can test this. We can actually put this to test, right? We can actually.
We can test that.
Yeah, we can.
This has been tested. This is how the two. Listen to Richard Feynman has a book called 7 Easy Experiments, right?
Right.
7 Easy Ideas or 8 Easy Ideas. I can't remember now. But he explained because the first time I heard about these 2 experiments, I thought, holy shit, this is magic. And then Richard Feynman explains it, and I'm like, oh, it's not magic. It's just photons bouncing off my eyes or hitting off these photons. And it's disturbing.
All right. So hey, Buck. All right. I want to start.
Right. How does that work?
I have to get a word in a minute. Okay. So Buck, I want to start by saying that I respect you. I think you're a smart son of a bitch. I want to clarify. I you are. Okay. You're very smart. Okay. Now.
He's not smart. He's just aware. He's just like the rest of us.
Thank you. I'm not smart. I'm not smart at all. I've read it.
Informed and is very studied.
You just not.
And is very studied. All right. Now, when you shoot a photon or a particle, not even a photon, they're shooting atoms as well. Not even photon. Now, you would have to position the lens to where the lens would have to affect the result. If you angle the lens to see the photon. For one, it's not a lens. It's not a camera. They do it with. They don't. They do it with an atom reader. Okay.
Yeah. But whatever equipment.
This atom reader cannot. Okay. All right. So
but whatever equipment they're using.
Equipment changes the end result. Now, this interference pattern is
using. The atoms can necessarily bounce off anything, and if we're saying that it can run off this atomic calculator or atomic observer, and we're saying photons can bounce off of this, then if we take this away and then we get a wave formation, we can then say that there's also things in the room that photons can bounce off.
It's whatever piece of equipment that you're using to measure.
Just give me a second. Regardless of the instrumentation, you're using the measure, okay?
Yeah.
it always is an interference pattern.
Yes.
Always. And it's a pattern recognition as an interference pattern. It's not some random fucking bullshit lines in like random orders. It's like organized lines.
So wait. Like, so what if we then put in an observation device which weren't turned on and observe?
Okay, and so they didn't.
So then, in your theory, in Buck's theory, that the photons would still bounce off it, but this doesn't happen. So how do we account for that then?
This is exactly what happened. Okay, so
This is what happened. I remember.
all right, give me 10 seconds.
Left in the room, switched off.
10 seconds. Okay, what they did was they ran the experiment. They let the light and the atoms go through the double slit experiment. They had the observer on, right? Okay, the observer. Okay, the observer made it a 2-bar.
Completely, I can't hear you at all.
Okay, can't hear me at all. Of course,
I'm getting you.
Yeah, Schizo, your line is very choppy. Your line's pretty choppy. It's very like roboty sometimes.
Okay, let me turn my camera on. It might work better. Just like light it up.
Anyway, I think what he was saying was that there were two experiments. There were an observer that was there. Yeah, your mic's still choppy. Yeah. Right. I think I know what you were on about, Schizo. I think I know where you were going with it, and I think you were saying that they did the experiment with the observation device in place, which switched off, not observing, and it still gave a wave formation. When they turned this observation device on, the protons, the wave became protons. They collapsed, and you got the line effect instead of the wave effect, you know.
Yeah.
And and if we're talking about photons,
it's important to remember as well that these experiments have been simplified way down for the likes of us to understand as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully understand that, but I mean, I'm just having a few thoughts with the holes and the theory you're going with. That is, I see the logic behind it, and what I'm just thinking now is that the observation device was there in the room, and still it gave a wave formation.
It's okay, right? So
bear with me. Like, so if the device is there and switched off, and then it's switched on, it must mean some magnetic, attraction we're talking about. Then that attracting the photons towards it.
No, it's the act of actually observing it. So for me to see the clock that's sitting in front of me right now, photons need to bounce off my eyes, hit the clock, and bounce back to my eyes. Right?
You just answered your own question. So
that's not true.
We're talking about magic.
Yeah,
that's magic. That's magic. So what we're saying is, like, if that observation device is switched off, right, and then photons
it won't disturb it.
Are not attracted to it, but if it's switched on, photons are attracted to it. So the act of observation is still attracting photons. Right?
No, it's not attracting it's disturbing the field. It's breaking. It's collapsing the field. So when that device switched on, so for anything so when you have like a Geiger counter and it's measuring radiation, right? What that's looking for is tiny molecules of radiation are hitting that Geiger counter, right?
Those
there has to be
tiny
some
molecules
sort of
radiation
contact.
are there before you switch the device on, yeah. And all you're doing is detecting.
Buck, you have to admit that Einstein had a big ass problem. Einstein had a big ass problem with this, and most other scientists had a big ass problem with this as well. Hold on,
Einstein had a big ass problem.
What?
Einstein had a big problem with what?
What? The double slit.
What did he have a problem with?
Is my mic that messed up?
No, it's fine.
You're good. You sound good now. You're clear now.
Okay. All right. So maybe I should just talk a little bit lower. Is that better?
Yeah, it's fine.
No, you're good.
Okay.
It sounds good.
Great. All right. So Einstein had a problem with the double slit experiment. All right. And so like what I'm saying is like every mainstream scientist has a problem with how the double slit experiment proves that classical mechanic physics doesn't apply to real matter.
Okay, no.
What I'm saying.
So physics, no, classical physics.
I've let you like you and.
I don't think Einstein had a problem with the double slit experiment.
No, he did because like he wanted the uniform. He wanted a uniform theory of everything.
Right?
And like
so Einstein, right? Okay, so here's what you're not
I think
understanding.
it proved his own theory.
Einstein talked about theories with relativity, right? They dealt with big things, so how stars and black holes and quasars interact, right? See, on the quantum level, you don't use relativity to describe what's going on the quantum level.
Yeah, he hated it.
Because it was so totally, because he assumed
because
that
it
these
doesn't
things
make
would link in
sense.
with each other.
Because it
But this is
almost
what we're trying to
implies
look
that we're
for
a
now.
simulation.
We're looking for a unifying theory to connect these ideas up.
Yeah,
So
and
you have general relativity, which explains big things, and quantum mechanics quite.
he's cutting out to me. Is
Nobody
he cutting out
understands
to
how
you?
gravity fits into all
There
this.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're cutting out, dude.
Buck, are you there?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Buck, can you just go back and repeat that, please?
I think your battery's running low on your mic again.
I can't hear anything Buck's saying.
Can you hard plug it into your USB or not?
Whilst he's dropped, let me ask a question.
Yeah, go on, Anthony. You wanted to speak about the moon, didn't you?
She's also before about the moon ringing like a bell, and Freeman said that was exactly the phrase that was used. What is the authority for that? Because I've heard it before 2 or 3 times. I don't know where it comes from, and I need to know that because that's something that I want to cite, but I don't know where it comes from.
Bear with me. I'll have a quick look just to jog my memory because I don't want to say something that's wrong.
No, you quoted it exactly. It rang like a bell.
The quote that I remember was, "It rang like a bell for hours."
For days, yeah.
No, hours. Sorry, I said hours. Yeah.
I think it was day. It was.
Yeah.
What was the context? Was it Operation High Jump?
No, the high jump was the ice, the giant, I think it was 200 feet. I think roughly 200 feet wall of ice that they had to get over, and they ended up cutting like some sort of hole in it. So to cut it short to actually get onto the Antarctica because they described it as a giant plateau.
Yeah,
that's Operation High Jump.
So what was it?
Yeah, high jump. Thank you. High jump. That's what it was. Exactly.
Yeah,
you're right.
That was Operation High Jump, and that's I mean that's factual. You can find that out.
No, you're right. 100%.
So therefore, it must have been Fishbowl then, wasn't it? Because
Operation Fishbowl was where they shot nuclear bombs up into the atmosphere. Russia and America did that.
Yeah. What was it that made the moon ring like a bell? Was it the explosion of nuclear bombs in the area? Is that what it was?
I believe it was the nuclear bombs on the moon. I believe it was that, or some sort of explosion on the moon.
But also at the same time, Buck had a legitimate point. It was like, if that's the case, sound. That's why we went through the sound and light comparison. Like he was like, even if the moon rang like a bell, we couldn't have heard it through the vacuum of space in between us and the moon. You know what I mean? So like then that's when I started on the conversation. Like that's what you guys are missing with me and Buck. I'm like, but you have to understand that radio waves are similar to sound, because if you hit something with enough impact, it will perform like a fucking wave that you could produce at the speed of sound, but maybe not. I don't know. So what you guys are saying, like if you fucking impact the crater, and so like my rebuttal to him, and he fucking debunked me, and then you agreed with me, and then you're listening to this again. What I'm saying is like, if that's possible, sound would have to travel through space, through the vacuum of space.
Right. I'm looking at NASA's website right now, and I think they are alluding to, I'll read you this little paragraph. The first 3 were generally mild and harmless, right? They're talking about earthquakes on the moon that they experienced from landing, yeah? Shallow moonquakes, on the other hand, were dozens. Between 1972 to 1977, the Apollo seismic network saw 28 of them. 28, a few registered up to 5.5 on the Richter scale, says Neil. A magnitude 5 quake on Earth is energetic enough to move bear with me. Furthermore, a shallow moonquake lasted a remarkable long time once they got going, or continue with more than 10 minutes. Quote, the moon was ringing like a bell.
Got it. Okay. So it wasn't the sound. It was the misquote. Ringing like a bell is wrong.
I mean, this
what they basically meant to say was
NASA's website quoting the moon was ringing like a bell.
No, I know. What I'm saying is like they had seismic indicators on there. What they meant to say was rocking like a bell.
No, but they didn't say that.
Because they said ringing, but it doesn't ring in space. So like what they meant was rocking.
Hang on,
but it was just easier to explain to human, like people on the planet.
You
can't put words in other people's mouths. I mean,
agree.
Neil Armstrong was a very educated person.
I'm not trying to just.
He picked his words carefully when he quoted the moon was ringing like a bell. He used those words carefully.
Well, he's wrong then, because it didn't ring like a bell in the fucking vacuum of space, because rings are sound.
Wrong. He could have. Well, this is on the interpretation or the belief that the space is a vacuum.
To be
You're
fair,
right, I guess.
Right now, you'd be cherry
On the assumption
the
that
argument you accept and refuse, right?
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is like I would like the interpretation of like that the Earth is hollow. Let's get there first before we start on the whole like space being a fucking like non-vacuum.
While we're
Right.
talking about that and the measurements between, you know, the laser shots and the moon, and we can estimate
Yeah.
it's 250,000 miles and stuff. You know, I'm a very skeptical guy, yeah, and I'm a bit fucking confused about the speed of light, and I don't believe it's constant.
No, I don't believe it at all. No way.
No, it's not. I agree.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
way.
Demon,
No fucking way. And
And you can put this at the test as well with like a 3-4 acre field,
Guys-
and shine a light and measure that light.
This
you know.
this shit like gave me cold chills. As soon as you said that, it gave me cold chills. You know,
Listen,
let me-
Freeman, do us a favor.
You know why? You know why? It's because like light is relative to space and time. All right. So like let's just talk about like how fast we're traveling through space, right? Like that's what is the globe model, right? Okay. So we're traveling 22,000 blah blah 1,000 miles an hour, and we're going 1,000,000 miles an hour around the galaxy and blah blah. Okay. So when I shoot a fucking flashlight, it goes 186,000 miles an hour. All right. That's a universal constant. All right. Now if I aim it backwards, it should shoot slower, right? Okay, well, you're like, no, it shoots the same as perspective.
Yeah.
As your perspective of where you're standing. Okay,
Absolutely.
now, if I'm standing outside of that perspective, what does light do at that time? And that's what Einstein started talking about, the ability to time travel. Now, if you're standing outside of that perspective,
that
you're holding still. Hold on. Well, hold on. If you're standing outside of the perspective and you're standing still and you're seeing this like fucking thing go across your sky, a planet, and the sky shoots a flashlight, and you got a big ass camera, and you're watching him, and he's shooting that camera, and you're holding still, and that light shoots out. What does that light do to you? Stop? Go backwards? Or does it go the other way? Like, I mean, does it fucking, and when he shoots it the other direction, does it travel 267,000 miles a second? You know what I mean? Like, so then Einstein, that's his theory of fucking time travel, that based on if an outside observer would watch time and fucking light, then people would time travel. I don't think that's true. I don't think that you would time travel at all.
No,
you just fucking see people
with atomic
fucking
clocks.
shooting light. It's just not true. It's just it's a bad program in my opinion.
Actually, you might be onto something actually, because we can measure this down to the atomic level with atomic clocks, but we can't measure this any.
I think we're a simulation, dude. I think it's a fucked up simulation that has an improper program and is not
reality's
calculated correctly.
virtual reality you believe in.
Yeah, I do. I wholeheartedly believe in it with like almost a religious stance, and you know, like I want to believe in flat Earth and everything, but I'm a fucking.
Well, you do. If it's virtual, it's flat. If it's virtual, it's flat. It's flat as fuck. If it's virtual, it's flat. It can't be simple. It's virtual anyway.
Right. So it makes it easier.
Absolutely.
And they can simulate a curve, and
infinity works as well. It actually infinity does work with flat.
The light works, like the fucking everything fucking works. And on top of that, it's common sense, because like if we were to fucking 60 years ago, what were you doing? Playing fucking goddamn Pong. 2 rectangles and a dot. We're like, oh man, this is fun. Now we're playing No Man's Sky, fucking like all kinds of shit. No Man's Sky is a simulated universe with like 100 bazillion planets, and they're created. The life on those planets are created by numbers
procedurally generated. That's the key feature, man.
Content. Yeah, exactly. And so like it's almost fucking naive and retarded to think in 1,000 years we won't be simulating fucking reality and then fucking creating a game inside of it.
Rick and Morty.
No, listen to this, guys, real quick, and then I'll be done. And I'll stop for like a minute. Okay, in 1,000 years, there's no fucking doubt. You guys can't fucking even, unless we get into a nuclear war that detriments society. In 1,000 years, we'll be creating simulated universes.
Absolutely.
On the sole purpose.
Better than this one.
On the sole purpose of trying to find out what the main discoveries of humanity will be. Now, what do you mean? Okay, what we'll do is we'll create these vast universes and these simulations in these vast civilizations, or maybe even a bunch of flat Earths, just like you guys think, billions of them, and let them fucking like survive on them. And like if they ever think that it's a fucking flat Earth, we'll like manipulate it. We'll give it a little curve or something.
Skitzer, let me ask you one question.
We'll do trillions billions of these in simulations. And then what we will do is we'll cherry pick them for fucking ideas. Now, like when one civilization creates free energy or nuclear fusion or like cold fusion or like this or that, or like the ability to escape our universe, if we base it on base reality, they will be able to solve everything for us without us even having to fucking discover it, because we'll just fast forward their reality. Once they die, they will die in their own reality. Their stars will run out, their existence will die, their fucking civilization will fucking transpire, but we will be able to learn from every one of their mistakes and learn from every single one of them. In 1,000 years, we're going to be dumb if we don't do that.
500 years.
So like, yeah, in 500, no, and actually, in my opinion, 200 years, like minimum. In 200 years, we will be dumb if we don't do that. And so, like, here's the thing. So then so then you're like, okay, well then let's say we are simulated, in base reality. What's the proof? Well, if we look at the quantum level of fucking matter, it's fucking computable.
Vibrating atoms, everything is 99.99% empty space.
Yes.
And the only reason why it gives us a vision of solidity is because it vibrates at a certain specific frequency that gives it that fucking structural
content.
Yes,
it's called the Planck's constant. Planck's constant, yeah.
And they're all vibrating at different frequencies to give us phone, to give us wood.
So not only do we have fucking permanent proof that we should do it, then we look at our own reality and then see that it's probably true. Like, all right, imagine, okay, all right, so you guys in my Google Hangout, I'm going to turn my camera on. Okay, so you guys see me right now?
Yeah, dude.
Okay, start. Let me turn my light on. I'm not trying to be gloomy. All right, so you have 2 points right here, right? 2 points. Okay, I want the biggest supercomputer on the planet to calculate the different distances between here and here. Now, we're only talking about a foot, right? But the amount of differences between these two distances is infinite. It can be here, times a trillion, times a billion, multiplied to the 20th power, times a quadrillion. I mean, there's
infinity
so
amount of space you could.
Yeah, so you guys understand.
That's if we're going by the basis of infinity real. I mean, it can't prove this. So
because the laws of physics and classical physics, you think that everything
have to rely on infinity.
My atoms flow around when I'm rotating my hands around. My atoms in my hands are rotating in a continuous analog motion. That's not true. It's not an analog motion. It's a digital motion. I'm fucking jittery, but on a scale that you can't see. So like when I calculate the distance between A and B, when I want to fucking put this to here, I fucking have to calculate that, right? All right, well, you're like, okay, well then that proves fucking that we're not in a simulation. That's not true.
No.
Because we have discovered through the Planck's constant, that it is quantized 100%. That like no scientist alive today disputes that we are quantized. We can either be at level 3, 6, or 9, but we can never be at 2, 4, or 6. You know what I mean? Or 2, 4, 8. Like you can be in certain states of matter in certain areas, but you're nothing in between. Atoms do not move like this. They do not move in an analog motion. They move in a digital motion. You're either here.
You're talking about quantum physics, appearing and reappearing and disappearing.
Yeah. So the only way to fucking run a simulation is to run on a quantum level. So if you want to calculate the distance between when this guy wants to punch this fucking guy's face, here's a face, here's a fist. If you ever want to have this fist hit that face, you have to do it quantumly. So there's no other fucking way. I could have the biggest supercomputer on the history of the planet times a billion years. There's an infinite amount of positions.
Putting them into sequence. There's got to be some sort of designer that's pushing those formation of quantum appearances, making your fist travel in such a motion that it looks like it's traveling to hit that hand. There's got to be some sort of design to it, or a program then. That can't be coincidence then. If you're talking about if for a fist to hit your hand, it can only work quantumly, then that must be some sort of designer that's making every step fit directly. So every inch, every fucking millimeter meteor.
No, that's not what I'm saying. It's not that the quantum world designs this fist to hit this face. This is the face. What I'm saying is like the quantum world only just allows it. It just allows it to happen.
So
because like imagine this.
Put your hand.
If I take these 2 points and if I cut it in half and then I cut it in half again, half, I will never reach this point. It would take me a trillion years, and I still wouldn't reach the point. If you ask a computer program to do that, it will never reach its objective. Now, if you ever want an atom to hit another atom, you have to quantize it. You have to say he's either here or here. And if he's this close, then bam, he hits it. It's digital. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but on a quantum level, like, so it's got to happen. It's got to have a design behind it, does it not? Like thinking towards, like moving the fist towards the hand to hit it as we visually see it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So,
Does.
so there's definitely got to be some sort of design or program to it to make that work, because that can't be just random coincidence.
No, it's a program.
I decide to move my hand up as I'm doing now. I move my hand up and down. I can see it moving up and down.
Yeah, your fucking hand is moving up and down, and it moves back and forth. And I'm not just talking about a fist and a face, but like just your move up and down. Like my hand movement right here. Like if a computer had to calculate my movement between these two movements right here, if it was analog, it would crash immediately.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If it was random, it would
not random. If it was continuous, it would be the proper way to say it. Okay, so like what I'm saying is imagine that this space right here that I'm like putting in front of you was like at the quantum fucking level to the fucking nano scale, like right here, this little bubble. Like I'm gonna create a square. This little square is the nano scale. Everything smaller than that, atoms don't even come in here because I'm so fucking small. I'm like super fucking small. I'm like sucked into the nano third dimension. Okay, I'm so fucking small. Okay, now this little fucking space I'm talking about.
Yeah,
now analog means that I can be here. This atom can go here, but when I see this atom over here, I'm like, oh man, because I'm in the analog. I'm not like fucking.
Yeah, I follow that. Yeah,
I'm like super fucking small. Okay, so this atom's going. They're jumping around me. They're jumping around. They're not here. They're disappearing and appearing here. Okay, so then what I'm saying is like
negative 2.468 force. Then is this some sort of force?
Yes, exactly. So what I'm saying is like energy state can be 3, 6, or 9. So they can be here or here or here. You know what I mean? They can't be anything in between.
Schizo.
They cannot be here.
Anthony wants
You'll never watch so if I slow my camera down and I'm watching these atoms, this atom will never continuously slowly go from here to here.
Schizo.
It will never do this motion.
Schizo.
So that's okay.
I think Anthony wants to discuss something.
Yeah, I've been waiting patiently just to get a couple of words in, but
yeah, I just got your message, mate. Yes, I do. Like,
with just a couple of points with regards to the moonquake and the link that you just put inside.
Going back to moonquakes.
Wasn't the ringing like a bell quotation in response to or in relation to the detonation of nuclear devices?
This is what I was trying to say earlier. There was another quote that was said by somebody that the moon was ringing like a bell for hours, and it wasn't by Neil Armstrong. It was by someone else.
Yeah.
But we just got carried away with the quantum reality shit, man. Interesting.
It was the issue I had was I've heard that quotation before, and I've always wanted to go back to where it was, and I don't know where it comes from because I've never been able to find it again. But it was something to do with when they did Operation Fishbowl and they basically went up into space. The argument is that they saw stuff that they weren't meant to see, and then for some reason started blowing shit out of our atmosphere for the next 3 or 4 years. Not just America, it was Russians too. And this is where it comes from, but I don't know what the citation was, but I see it in here. But this is talking about earthquakes on the moon, which is a different context.
Yeah,
so it's like, am I getting my wires crossed?
No, you're not getting wires crossed. I believe there were some sort of information that came out about a nuclear device being detonated on the moon, and it rang like a bell for quote hours. but I'm trying to find it now, and I'm struggling. And it was very common to find at one point. So I'm beginning to think maybe that got took down when people
agreed. Which is what I was wondering. And if anybody else knows where this information was about Operation Fishbowl, where they started blowing shit out of the atmosphere, if anyone knows where that ringing like a bell reference,
it was like it was in the main fucking flat Earth theorists.
No, this was before that. I mean, this was back. I mean, this was even around in the 70s.
I know, but I know where I heard it, and it was I can't remember his name, but he was like one of the main theorists. He's like a 45-year-old guy. He has one of his YouTube videos.
You mean David Icke?
No, I don't know.
David Icke is one of these conspiracy components in the United Kingdom, but
yeah, he's one of the main guys.
I
mean, if you're still looking for it,
he talks. I mean, he's believed to be a show. I mean,
so it's removed.
BBC. He's been in the BBC media for years. As a
he wasn't. Yeah, this probably the same guy. Okay, I gotta go.
Okay,
I got pissed.
Okay, so with regards to that, we'll conclude that we don't know where it comes from now, but it appears that
for now, I will have a look these next few days, and I will do some digging and try and find it out. You know, I'm reading an article now from the Express.co.uk describing, pretty much what NASA's describing.
Well, while Shiz has gone, let me make my other 2 points.
Well, I'm gonna have to finish up shortly, so just
that's okay. Let me get it in before you go. The guy that was in before, Buck, he said that the double slit experiment, was a misrepresentation.
Yeah,
I'm going to make a version and just tell me if you agree with me. The Michelson-Morley experiment is often cited by ballers as being misrepresented by the flat earthers because they weren't testing for the movement of the Earth; they were testing for the ether.
Yeah,
visions were really quite clear. My assertion is when somebody says that something's been misrepresented by the flat earthers, in this case it was Buck about the double slit experiment. Is that comparable to the criticism that the Michelson-Morley experiments misrepresented? And we all know that it wasn't. Ball earthers do seem to be citing that as a misrepresentation. And is it the case that Buck was citing that as a misrepresentation because either he didn't understand it or it didn't jive with his preconceptions? And I'm thinking, right, okay, was he misrepresenting?
I was thinking about that at the time, and I do agree with you somewhat. But I mean, his theory did have some merit. I would give it that. But when we're thinking about the atomic calculator being present and not recording and still getting the wave outcome, it doesn't give his theory or his person he's been listening to, that guy's theory, any merit, because I can't see any logic behind the sheer fact of it being switched on and observing that the photons would be attracted, and therefore, so it kind of answers his own question. Like it is down to the observer. Again,
so then my question was he wrong to say that it was was he wrong to say it was misinterpreted?
Well, no, because it's all down to, it's subjective, isn't it? I mean, we're not here to tell him he's wrong or I'm wrong or he's right and I'm right. We're here just to discuss it. But I mean, in my belief system, I think we don't know enough to have a right answer. I think we can speculate, and I mean, I see holes in his theory based on what I said. So I'd say yeah.
With regard to, imagine that you and I were stood on a beach and we were watching the sun setting in the distance, and as the sun gets to the horizon, we see the channel of light reflected on the water surface that comes back towards our eye. I can see my reflection in the water, but I can't see your reflection. You can see your reflection, but you can't see mine. So with regards to the observer being present for the sun going down, with regards to the double slit experiment, and I wonder how many other instances requires the observer to be there for it to be a thing, because you don't see my reflection and I don't see your reflection, but we both know that we see each other, we see our own, and it's like,
this is where it gets very philosophical, doesn't it? And it brings us back to the question: if a tree falls in a forest, does it make a sound?
It does, which is a $1 million question. Last thing, and I'm going to step out. I just wanted to say as well, I only left before because I just couldn't stand listening to Buck talking anymore. He was very polite and he was very well spoken, but he was so indoctrinated. I just couldn't put up with it anymore. So I had to leave. On the chat, and he came in, and I'm like, oh my god. I'm stepping out, but thanks for listening to me. I'll catch you guys later.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna be finishing now anyway. So
all right, see you soon, guys.
All right, cool. It's been great again, Jamie. Nice one. Sorry, it was a bit late. I was
and Schizo, thanks for
cheers.
Hang on, your mic's muted, Schizo.
Yeah, I think he might be on a call with someone else.
Uh-uh.
I know, but yeah, cheers, Schizo, mate. You got some wild.
Wait. Yeah, I'm back. All right. So, yeah. So, like, hey.
Yeah, I'm just about to finish.
Yeah,
we're
I know,
just-
I heard that.
Yeah.
Is that so? I hope that guy's not leaving because of me jumping in and like making assumptuous claims.
No, it was more towards Bert's. Was it Bert, the Irish guy?
No, Buck.
Buck, sorry, Buck. Yeah,
Oh,
it
okay.
was,
Yeah, Buck was very
about the double
opinionated.
slick experiment.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Okay. Freeman, I'm gonna start my own live stream. If you want to jump in there, I'll start it.
Yeah, mate, yeah, I'll come
And
through.
all right, just hop in, and then I'll send you the link.
I'll put my
start
email in the chat menu for this hangout. Yeah,
What?
my email in this chat in the group chat,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you can send me the link. Yeah.
All right, Freeman. Hey, Jamie, thanks for hosting. That was awesome. That was good. It was very good. I
Yeah,
appreciate
it's
it.
good that we can all we all have different opinions, but we can all
Yeah,
Be
that's right.
diplomatic about it. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously we aren't going to change each other's opinions. You know, like nobody's going to do that. But like, here's the thing. Here's the only reason I ever do this shit is we have 45 people watching, right? And if we have a point to prove, you know, whether it's right or wrong, like maybe somebody grabs something from it. You like, and like most of my opinions are unbiased, and they are kind of a little bit out there, but they're more realistic than I think that most people are. Like, I think it's like some people are kind of out. Like they try to spread ideas that are like, I mean, I guess this is based on opinion. But anyways, I appreciate you spreading this. And Jamie, good shit, good stream.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna judge it. Yeah, I'm not gonna judge it. You're a flat earther, so like I love that you're trying to play the other side, you know. And so we'll constantly have this debate and let everybody decide. I think that's great.
I agree.
All right, great stream.
I agree. Cool, man. Right.
All right.
Peace out, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
Take care, man. Bye bye.
Yeah, take it. All right, guys. Probably gonna do another tomorrow. Peace.